No delays on the Kennedy. Eisenhower and Stevenson are wide open. 55 looks good. Dan Ryan either way. 15 from 95th to downtown. Traffic's a service of Bank of America. Want cash back at Costco, Sam's Club, and BJ's today? Use your Bank Americard Cash Rewards Visa credit card and earn 2% cash back at wholesale clubs. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/getcashback. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer starts next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
We'll see partly sunny skies today with a high of 84, partly cloudy tonight and humid with a low of 70. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy throughout the day, warm and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm and a high of 86 degrees. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
62 Lakefront, 67 Midway, 67 degrees at O'Hare. Next traffic in 15 minutes. Next News 530. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer starts now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Papa Nicholas Coffee. Papa Nicholas Coffee, a family tradition since 1897.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy getting a late start. I think she's still at Lollapalooza, so she'll be joining us shortly. And over the weekend, Trump just can't help himself, can he? He just cannot help himself. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA, turnkey.pro text line. He has to come over the top against anybody who criticizes him, even to his detriment.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Oh, all right, here we go. Here we go, Dave Stewart. Dave Stewart in for Mike Scott this morning. But going back to Trump, it started on Friday with the temperament charge, right? This is all coming out of the DNC. So you had the issue of Trump's temperament and then the issue of Trump's understanding of the Constitution and what he has or has not sacrificed. Trump on his temperament. Hillary Clinton criticizes Trump's temperament, doesn't have the temperament for the job. Here's somebody that can be provoked by a tweet, so you cannot have him with his, in possession of the nuclear code. So what does Trump say in response to that? He doesn't just have a good temperament. He has the best temperament.
They just announced I have over 22 million between Twitter and Facebook. 22 million people. That's like, I don't get upset. If somebody tweets, I do what I do. Who cares?
What I do.
I'll tell you, I think I have the best temperament, or certainly one of the best temperaments, of anybody that's ever run for the office of president. Ever. Because I have a winning temperament, I know how to win. Because my whole life I've been winning.
Well, there is a point of order on that. Other presidents of the United States have had a winning temperament, too. Thus, they were presidents of the United States. But here's the thing. This is the way Trump responds to even the mildest criticism. Whatever you say is a flaw of mine, not only is it not a flaw, the positive attribute I have in greater quantity than any human in the history of the world. The temperament. So that's kind of the juvenile response. That's the response we've gotten used to when it comes to Trump responding to criticism. And that kind of goes away. You understand he's a blowhard. You understand he is prone to hyperbole. And I think he uses hyperbole for great effect. I think it's purposeful, and I think he uses it for great persuasive effect. But then there's the matter of Khizr Khan and his wife and the response to the speech that he gave on Thursday night at the DNC. Amy, you recall that speech?
Oh, I do. It was the highlight of the DNC. And I thought for sure he would not touch the subject at all because he refrained from tweeting about it for a few days. But then he went on with George Stephanopoulos in a pre-taped interview that aired yesterday on Sunday and couldn't help himself. I mean, if George Stephanopoulos asks you the question, how this man accused you of not sacrificing anything. What would you respond?
Well,
what would be a normal response from a normal person?
Yeah, I think that's but even before you get to the sacrifice question, there's just the reaction question. Well, how do you react? Khizr Khan, whose son served our country heroically, killed in action. How do you respond to his criticism of you not having knowledge of the Constitution and otherwise just supporting Hillary Clinton against you? So here's one way to respond. One way to respond is I understand that they have issues with me. Their son is an American hero. He served our country honorably and courageously. Appreciate the sacrifice that he and his family made for this country.
That sounds great, Dan.
And I'm just going to leave it there.
Yeah, but he can't help himself, and this is why I don't trust him to be president. And this is why people can't stand Donald Trump.
Well, here was the reaction that Trump offered. This was kind of the first reaction to what was said, where he almost got there, but then he veered off into the wilderness.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that. I saw him. He was, very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. His wife, if you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say. You tell me, but plenty of people have written that. She was extremely quiet, and it looked like she had nothing to say. A lot of people have said that, and personally, I watched him. I wish him the best of luck.
See, if he could have skipped the part about she had nothing to say, was she not allowed to say something? That whole riff, because what does that do? It generates another response, and Khizr Khan, the wife of Khizr Khan, right? She had an op-ed in the Washington Post.
She spoke Donald Trump, even if she didn't speak on the lectern that night. You can hear what she says.
Well, and this is a
larger audience now.
And this is what she said. Donald Trump has asked why I did not speak at the Democratic convention. He said he would like to hear from me. Here's my answer to Donald Trump. Because without saying a thing, all the world, all America felt my pain. I am a Gold Star mother. Whoever saw me felt me in their heart. So
yeah, but he's also the comment that he made is implying that Muslim women are subservient. He just started this whole other sideshow about which a lot of Muslim women are, and a lot of Muslim women are required to wear certain things. But
by law and under threat of execution.
Yeah, but she's here in America.
In Islamic theocracies. Yes.
Right, but she's in America at the DNC. If she wanted to speak, I'm sure she could speak, but she became, if you read further into the article, she said she became so overcome with emotion when she saw her son's picture on the big screen behind her, and that it was too much, that she couldn't do it. But for Donald Trump to rip on a Gold Star mother, to even try, he doesn't empathize with their loss. He empathizes, or he's trying to sympathize with their culture of their religion. Like, yeah, maybe she couldn't talk. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. That's what people are saying.
Yeah.
No, that's what you're saying, Donald Trump. Just own up to it.
So then Trump was asked about sacrifice because, of course, in his speech on Thursday night, Khizr Khan, the father, said Trump has never sacrificed anyone or anything. Trump responded to Clinton Foundation donor zero on that score.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. I think
those are sacrifices?
Oh, sure, I think they're sacrifices. I think when I can employ thousands and thousands of people, take care of their education, take care of so many things, even in military. I mean, I was very responsible, along with a group of people, for getting the Vietnam Memorial built in downtown Manhattan, which to this day people thank me for. I raised, and I have raised, millions of dollars for the vets. I'm helping the vets a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be my definition of sacrifice. Engaging.
Well, he did have 5 deferments for the Vietnam War. That he really sacrificed.
Well, I'll just stick to his answer on sacrifice. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't be my answer. Being involved in charitable pursuits is an opportunity. It's not a sacrifice, in my estimation. But I suppose this is the whole thing that you open up when you decide to respond to Khizr Khan rather than let it go. I mean, now contrast that with what Hillary Clinton did. And as I think we're all aware, I'm not a fan of Hillary Clinton. But
you're not?
But there is, you can be a quote unquote truth teller. You can be a non-politician. You can be blunt and put it between people's eyes. And you can also be somewhat politically astute. You can understand there is no upside. There is no upside to getting into a back and forth with a Gold Star family. Let it go. Somebody criticized you. They are supporting Hillary Clinton. They are still distraught over the loss of their son. All of that is understandable. Let it be. And
he can't do it.
Well,
if he physically, they're going to have to put a muzzle on him.
Well,
he can't stop himself.
Well, I mean, just to compare to Hillary Clinton, here's Hillary Clinton over the weekend was sitting down with Chris Wallace on Fox News Sunday, and Chris Wallace, to his credit, put the question of Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, killed in Benghazi, to Hillary Clinton, and the questions about Mrs. Smith's characterization of what Hillary Clinton told her versus what Hillary's characterization is. And here's Hillary's longer response.
My heart goes out to both of them. Losing a child under any circumstances, especially in this case, two State Department employees, extraordinary men, both of them, two CIA contractors, gave their lives protecting our country, our values. I understand the grief and the incredible sense of loss that can motivate that. As other members of families who lost loved ones have said, that's not what they heard. I don't hold any ill feeling for someone who, in that moment, may not fully recall everything that was or wasn't said.
Yeah, I mean, that's a middling response because Hillary Clinton is lying. I understand that. But the point is that is a soft spot for Hillary. So what does she do? Rather than escalate, she tries to winnow her way out. And for Donald Trump, all he had to say, in addition to condolences and respect for the family and the soldier, hey, look, I don't know how I would react. I don't know what I would do if I lost Don Jr. or Eric.
Right, but he can't personalize anything because he's got this wall around him that he has built up. It's an emotional wall where he keeps everything out. He does not. Well, he does not have empathy. And when Khan's father said that to Jim Acosta on CNN, saying, "I want him to find empathy. I want his children to teach him what it means to empathize with others." I thought that was a poignant part.
Well, and again, you get the response from Kaiser Khan because Donald Trump went after his wife. So that's certainly how he took it. And, then you've got this headline that's all over the place all weekend.
I want his family to counsel him, teach him some empathy. He will be a better person if he could become, but he is a black soul. And this is totally unfit for the leadership of this beautiful country.
Black soul. It
couldn't have, maybe it's a little rough, but it's kind of true.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to look into Donald Trump's soul. I don't know.
I don't want to go there, Dan. Don't make me go there.
Well, but
it's a scary place.
But think about it this way. Let me turn this on many of our listeners who are Trump supporters, reluctantly or enthusiastically. What is the upside? What is the upside engaging on this issue and engaging this family the way that Donald Trump did? What does victory look like here?
Donald Trump can't stand when people criticize him. That's why he's got to fight back. Because remember, he hits back. And Katrina, his spokesperson, was on Friday and said, yeah, if somebody hits him, he's going to hit him back harder. In reference to saying that he's going to hit Clinton.
Yeah, well,
for her comments that she made at the DNC.
And Bloomberg and others. Yeah. That's fine. Politicians.
Right, but leave this family alone.
Because you respond to criticism, you hit back, you come over the top, and you hit 10 times as hard as whoever hits you. I understand that, but you can't hit everybody. If he tried to hit everybody, he'd spend even more time than he does on Twitter now. I mean, so I go back. What does winning by engaging this family look like? To me, there is no win here other than to express sincere condolences, to try and, as Mr. Khan said, empathize with them. He's the father of sons. And to move on. 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro text line. Dan in New Lenox, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, so what it looks like here is what Trump is doing. What he's doing is setting up a situation for himself so that people will keep on talking about him so that he can accomplish multiple purposes here. And one of those purposes is calling out the ridiculousness in people trying to attack him for defending himself. Because I don't know about you, but whoever the person is, if they try speaking negatively against my character, I will defend myself. It's not about hitting back. It's about defending yourself from what could be potentially libel or slander. So he's accomplishing that with those comments. It's not that he can't let things go because he has a, quote, character flaw in that manner. It's that he is a 4D chess master. He is setting up his next move every single time he does something like this that you seem to not understand here, Amy. So I'm not surprised, once again, that you completely support Hillary's nonsense pandering, because if she was
I'm supporting the family, not Hillary right now. This has nothing to do with Hillary Clinton. This is about a presidential candidate who is ripping on a Gold Star family and making accusations that the wife is subservient. Maybe that's why she didn't talk. I mean, it's just, it goes so much deeper than that. He can't control himself. That's what I'm talking about, control. Nuclear codes and control.
That he's ripping on her because he's just trying to make a comment about people.
He's insinuating that Muslim women are subservient.
Thanks for the call, Dan. We'll pick this up on the other side.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Back to work Monday, first day of August. It's going to be partly cloudy skies today, a high of 78 degrees. 20% chance for rain tomorrow, and it's going to be hot around 90 degrees. And on Wednesday, a 60% chance of rain and a high of 83 degrees. Let's get the traffic times. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Amy. Dan, it's Al Verdi in for Jim. Hey, on the south side, Cermak is shut down between Canalport and Blue Island until later today for Fiesta del Sol. Congress closed from Michigan to Columbus for Lollapalooza cleanup until tomorrow. Balbo closed from Michigan to Lakeshore Drive for the same thing, but until Friday. And Jackson closed both ways between Michigan and Lakeshore Drive until Wednesday. In the meantime, Eden's traffic is moving without delays. Kennedy in or out, 20 minutes from O'Hare to downtown. No delays either way on the Eisenhower. Stevenson is 34 in or out between 355 and Lakeshore Drive. 55 traffic looks good. Dan Ryan 15 either way from downtown to 95th. 57 Bishop Ford, Lakeshore Drive, Route 390 Tollway, all moving well. I'm Al Verdi in the ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Mike Rowe here with a quick IAQ test for my buddy Bill. Wait, I didn't study. IAQ stands for Indoor Air Quality, something 1 hour excels at. Well, I aced my SATs, so... Yes or no? Do you breathe inside your home? Yeah. And what do you breathe? Air. And what's in that air? Air? Sorry, we were looking for dust mites, household pollutants, even formaldehyde. Wait, I need to move. Or you could call 1 hour and improve your IAQ. That sounds smarter. Let's see how you do with a disclaimer.
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Not bad.
Do you think identity theft is only when someone adds charges to your credit card? It's actually when someone pretends to be you to open new accounts in your name or any number of bad things. LifeLock can help. We use proprietary technology to alert you to a huge range of identity threats. And if you have a problem, we have a team of U.S.-based specialists who will work to fix it. No one can prevent all identity theft or monitor all transactions at all businesses. Membership starts at $9.99 a month, plus applicable taxes. Go to LifeLock.com and use promo code NEWS to get 10% off.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, tweet from Holly and Hudson. I agree with Ann Coulter. Defending Trump is like always having to bail out your 16-year-old from jail. Yeah,
That's a good one.
There's a little bit of that.
Yeah. And everyone, I mean, no matter what side you're on, everybody was criticizing Donald Trump for the comments that he made. Mitch McConnell spoke yesterday. Paul Ryan, of course, speaking out against it, tweeting out against it. And I love what Meghan McCain, John McCain's daughter, tweeted.
She is one of the dumbest human beings walking the face of the planet. Just FYI.
Oh my God! Why do you hate her so much? Why is she so stupid? Remind me.
One of the best book reviews I've ever written. I've ever read was about Meghan McCain's book when it came out a few years back. And I'm paraphrasing here, but the reviewer essentially said, in the 1970 something, the Supreme Court ruled that it was a constitutional violation of cruel and unusual punishment to put to death someone who is mentally incapacitated. But I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about Meghan McCain's book. That one of the best book, and it was spot on because it was unintelligible. Pablum.
Okay, well, real quick, she said, I'd ask what kind of barbarian would attack the parents of a fallen soldier. But, it's the same person who attacks POWs.
Well,
meaning her father, that he wasn't a real hero.
I guess she does.
Because he got caught, Dan.
I guess she does have standing on that.
Thank you.
Text from 708, another distraction by the Dems, and you two are running with it. Who created the distraction, 708? Who created it?
Stop talking about Khan's family.
The site, right, exactly.
Dan, how could you?
I mean, come on. We created the distraction. He chose to engage this idea. He's just defending himself. Do you need to defend yourself to a Gold Star family? Can you let them have your say and let it go? Is it fair political game, as somebody else texted? Yeah. He spoke at the convention. If you want to engage, you can engage. Do you think this is a win for Trump? If you want Trump to defeat Hillary, do you think this facilitates that end goal? I don't think so. I don't think it's even close.
No. And what John Kasich wrote was great. There's only one way to talk about Gold Star parents: with honor and respect. Captain Khan is a hero. Together we should pray for his family.
And they tried to do that.
Came out everywhere. Yeah.
I mean, at least the Trump campaign tried to do that. On Saturday night, they released a statement that said, Captain Khan was a hero to our country. We should honor all who made the ultimate sacrifice to keep our country safe. The real problem here are the radical Islamic terrorists who killed him and the efforts of these radicals to enter our country to do further harm, and so on. Fine. Leave it there. Four corners of that statement. Randy and Aurora.
All right, guys. I think what you're maybe not seeing here is no different the way that when ISIS fights us, when they hide weapons in a hospital or school, or they hide behind women and children. The same way Hillary just did is she hid behind this Gold Star mother and had them get up there and say the things that they said. And having said that, what now happens, in my opinion, is as soon as you go up there, Gold Star mother or not, and you start to dabble into the political arena, you open yourself up where now people can come at and attack
Randy, but here's the question. Is it judicious for Trump to respond like he responded? All of that is true. Is it judicious for Trump to respond how he responded?
So, okay, then fine, Dan, I understand. So what do we do now? Do we allow her to go up there with every little girl with a teddy bear and a balloon, and then they can say whatever they want about Trump, and he's just going to stand there and take it?
Thanks for the call, Randy. Every little girl with a teddy bear and a balloon is not a Gold Star family.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The following is an incredible, life-changing free offer for anyone with hearing problems who wants to start hearing everything more clearly again. We're now offering free in-home trials of a revolutionary hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear to anyone who calls this special toll-free number now, 1-800-400-3906. Call in the next 10 minutes and you'll also qualify for free shipping and free batteries for life. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers. It adjusts to let you find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so invisible, people may not even know you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. Don't miss this special life-changing opportunity to hear everything more clearly again for free with a 100% free in-home trial, free shipping, and even free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-400-3906. That's 1-800-400-3906. 1-800-400-3906.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
All right, we're not the only ones getting into it on the center right over the Trump-Con conflict. Megyn Kelly and Mike Huckabee did too. 538.
But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Dave Stewart, who's in for Mike Scott.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. 67 degrees in Chicago at 532 on AM 560. The Answer. Partly sunny today. Look for a high of 84. Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton is taking aim at Donald Trump for attacking the family of a fallen Muslim American soldier. She told reporters yesterday in Ohio Trump's comments about the captain, Humayun Khan's mother, were wrong.
A Gold Star mother who stood there on that stage with her husband honoring the sacrifice of their son. I don't know where the bounds are. I don't know where the bottom is.
Khan's parents spoke out against Trump last week at the Democratic convention, but his mother did not want to speak because she says it makes her too upset. Beginning today, people will be able to carry concealed handguns on college campuses in Texas. It doesn't apply to all schools. Private schools were allowed to opt out of the new law. Public universities were allowed to set up gun-free zones. 2 men killed, at least 21 other people wounded in shootings across Chicago from Saturday afternoon into early Sunday morning, police say. The most recent fatal shooting about 1 a.m. Sunday when a 27-year-old man was killed in West Garfield Park. One of 2 Cook County jail inmates behind a violent cell block takeover last week had a reputation for attacks on correction officers. Cook County authorities say one attack was 2 months ago in which the man seriously injured a Kankakee officer. Cook County inmate Cordero Stevenson has been locked up since September of 2014, but in the past year alone, Stevenson twice was accused of physically assaulting officers. 3 times he reportedly flung urine and feces at his jailers. People in Illinois caught with a small amount of marijuana will no longer face jail time. Governor Rauner signed a bill Friday to reduce the punishment for those found with up to 10 grams of pot. In sports, Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings Sunday. Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs are hosting the Marlins today. The news is service of Triton College. At Triton College, you'll find real quality in their modern facilities and dedicated faculty. You'll find real value in their courses that will cost you a fraction of the four-year schools. At Triton College, you'll find real opportunities, so visit triton.edu today. AM 560 News Time 5:34. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what's happening to the Clinton campaign.
But you want to hear how goofy the Democrats are right now? They want to blame the Russians for the WikiLeaks stuff. Here's the Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, on CNN.
The Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-400-9591. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-400-9591. 1-800-400-9591.
5:35. Let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. Both sides of the Edens are moving well, so just 19 in or out from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy's in good shape both ways. It's 20 either way from O'Hare to downtown, but we do have a report of an accident blocking the left lane outbound at the Hubbard Street Tunnel. On the Eisenhower, just 29 in or out from Thorndale to the post office. Stevenson in slows a little now from Central to Pulaski. 36 in from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 26 in from the Tri-State. No outbound delays. 55 traffic is moving well. Dan Ryan inbound touches the brakes from Cermak to the Circle. 19 in from 95th to downtown. And Bishop Ford inbound slows from 103rd to the Ryan. Traffic's a service of Napa Auto Parts this month at participating Napa Auto Parts stores. Napa Full Synthetic Oil is on sale for a great price. Keeping your ride running longer, stronger for less. That's Napa know-how while supplies last. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny with a high of 84 today. Tonight, partly cloudy and humid, low 70. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy, warm and humid. We might see some rain or a thunderstorm. Tomorrow's high 86. Right now, though, 67 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 6 o'clock, a continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Ayn Rand Institute and the Yaron Brook Show. Heard Saturday afternoons at 4 here on AM 560, The Answer.
You want more than just the headlines? Find out what's going on and what it means with me, Dennis Prager, this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Amy back from Lollapalooza. How was it?
No, you know what? I didn't go to Lollapalooza. Instead, I went to Indianapolis for a day. And I have to tell you, once you cross into Indiana, they have the billboards that say Indiana, AAA bond rating.
Yeah.
Move here.
Once you cross Indiana, you start home shopping.
Right, exactly.
That's what you do
but
if you're from Illinois.
I-65, next time we have Governor Pence on, we need to talk to him about making some upgrades to I-65. It reminded me of a Costa Rican highway in parts, and it's only 4 lanes. And if that's the main thoroughfare to get to Indianapolis, let's widen it up. Maybe 8 lanes.
That's
because people are moving there, so you need to make room for them.
That's Vice President-elect Mike Pence to you.
Excuse me.
Assuming that Donald Trump doesn't steal defeat from the jaws of victory, I should say. We're talking about his response to the Khan family that spoke at the DNC on Thursday night, who Gold Star family lost their son, killed in action in theater, and Trump had to respond to their criticism, the father's criticism of him, which generated a response from the father over the weekend, which generated a response from the mother in a Washington Post op-ed, which generated the dominant topic of discussion on all the Sunday shows at a time when we could be talking about things like, Hillary Clinton's conduct when it comes to the Russians, her history with the Russians. That could be the dominant story, but Donald Trump has undermined that. And before we get back to the calls, I just want to let's see if we can kind of funnel the conversation to the important points. The Khans spoke at the convention, or they appeared at a Democrat convention. They made themselves political. So are they fair game for a response? Yes, they are.
But if they're a Gold Star family and questioning their patriotism, is that off the table? Because what their son sacrificed, what they're dealing with on a daily basis, still grieving the loss of their son.
I don't think anybody questioned their patriotism. No, but the response to the Trump response about should the mother have spoke, should he didn't?
Yeah, he took it one step further, taking a shot at his wife, at a grieving Gold Star mom. You leave her alone.
Getting into the sum and substance of what they had to say, just for point of contrast. Remember Cindy Sheehan? Mm-hmm. Cindy Sheehan was a Gold Star mom who blamed President George W. Bush for her son's death, right?
She was all over the convention 4 years ago.
And she camped outside his home in Crawford and tried to stage rally. So this is a grieving mom. Remember how George W. Bush responded? Agree or disagree with any of a number of decisions George W. Bush made as President of the United States. But he said in response to her, very simply, she has every right in the world to say what she believes, and it was my duty to listen. And that was about the sum and substance of it. Now, I go back again to say, if the idea is for Trump to defeat Clinton, somebody has to explain to me how this advances the issue. If the idea is for Trump to defeat Clinton and advance some of the policies that he has proposed in this campaign, how does his response over the weekend, advance that end? I don't see it. Let's go to Ed in Oak Brook here on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Good morning, guys. There is absolutely no defense of what Trump said. And the callers before mentioning teddy bears and little girls, there was absolutely no defense. I'd like to slap him in the back of the head. But what's even more stupid.
Ed, you say this as a Trump supporter, correct?
I am a Trump supporter, you bet, because the upside for getting anyone other than Hillary in the White House is tremendous. But there's no defense for what he said, and it's just wrong. And I didn't even know a family like the Khan even existed because I thought they all wanted to kill us all. But the fact of the matter is, when Amy, so silly, says that he tweets something in response or he says something on the air, and then all of a sudden now he's going to go launch nuclear missiles if someone insults him, that is so stupid and irresponsible that, you know what, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
No, you feel safe with Donald Trump, Ed? You feel safe
Ed.
with Donald Trump having the nuclear codes? I mean, it's a matter of trust. We had at our block party, we had a number of registered Republican women from Glenview and Northbrook, and none of them can bring themselves to vote for Donald Trump because they don't trust him, and they were horrified what he did to the Khan family.
Yeah, well,
horrified.
This is my point. It's something where for a lot of people, when you do something so undignified as Trump's response to the Khan family, that's my opinion. I think it was undignified. People's logic turns off, and it becomes emotion. And
women are emotional.
And you identify with.
I can admit that.
Well, and you identify with the family, and you say that family is treated poorly. I don't like that. Now, if you intellectualize the race, you'll go read like Hugh Hewitt's column in the Washington Examiner over the weekend, making the case for why you have to vote for Donald Trump, and it's a strong case that Hugh Hewitt lays out. But when you see somebody treated unfairly, you don't want to identify with the person who treated them unfairly. This goes back to my point that. I don't see in any way how this helps Trump. Think about this. Even with respect to his policy proposal that's otherwise popular as it's evolved, the temporary ban on persons from countries that have been compromised by terrorism, right?
Right.
This is the exchange between Megyn Kelly and Mike Huckabee over the actually Friday night on the Kelly File.
And so that's the dad's point, that his son, an American hero, would not have been here if Donald Trump had been president when they wanted to come.
Well, Donald Trump, though, has clarified, Megyn, that his intent is to make sure that people are vetted. It's not just an outright or a permanent ban, and even said it would be a temporary suspension of immigration until we knew. Keep in mind that this was in the context of the President Obama, wanting to bring hundreds of thousands of Syrian refugees to the country.
But that's a different issue. That's a different issue.
No, it's the same issue.
Syrian refugees is a different issue. That's not the same as Trump's Muslim ban. No, it isn't. It's not at all.
It was in the context.
Banning all Muslims, even temporarily, would have scooped up this family had they been looking to come to America under Donald Trump presidency. And we wouldn't have had Humayun Khan fighting for us and saving the lives of men on the battlefield in Iraq. That's his point.
I'm not taking anything away from this family. Nothing from the father, nothing from the son. But I don't think it's accurate, nor is it fair to say that Donald Trump would have stood in the way of a family getting to America who clearly wanted to come, who could be vetted, would be vetted, and found to be wanting to assimilate and become a part of America.
Well, so this is the problem with Trump's comments, too, is you can't get to the policy because now everybody's so emotional about the treatment. And I would say, first of all, Megyn Kelly is not really completely right there. The Syrian refugee and the temporary Muslim ban are of the same kind. They're in the same category of policymaking. But Mike Huckabee, I wouldn't have gone that way, although you certainly extend empathy to the family and respect. But here's the thing. Put this back on Megyn Kelly and put this back on others as well. If the point is because we cannot vet, and because we cannot do so in a timely fashion, we are going to impose a temporary ban, and that is a popular policy, according to all the opinion polls, then let's say that the Khan family from Pakistan would not have been allowed in if temporarily if Trump was president. Right. Because we can't tell the good guys from the bad guys. So until we have a system in place, which I'm going to do, that's what Trump has said,
right.
Then, yeah, there's going to be some delays. Be honest about it. Yes, that's right. That's entirely the problem, isn't it? That's the problem I'm underscoring, is that we can't tell. And because we can't tell, we can't risk the bad guys, even to let in a good guy like the Khan family. What's wrong with that position? This is an opportunity to explain, but you can't explain and rally people to an arguably sensible position when you engage in inflammatory responses like Trump did. It's just
according to Khan, it's against
insane.
the Constitution. That's why he held up his Constitution, saying, our country was born on religious freedoms. You can't just let certain groups in and certain groups out. You can't. It's against the Constitution.
Well, Mr. Khan may want to brush up on the history of U.S. immigration policy, much of that ignominious history, I may add.
Right.
Disgraceful history. So I'm not suggesting a repeat, but but whether or not it's constitutional to do what Trump has suggested he would do, that's a different matter. I actually think he's wrong.
And by the way, those pocket constitutions are selling out everywhere.
Well, that's good.
You can't get your hands on one right now. I'm not kidding you. Because of that moment.
I hope more
That's
people.
a good thing.
I hope more people read it.
And don't touch mine, because mine's in my purse.
Tom and Carol Stream, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, good morning, Dan and Amy.
Morning.
Hey, I hear a lot of criticism about Trump's, what he said, attacking this Muslim woman. That has got to be the mildest attack on somebody I've ever heard a politician make, to say that they didn't say something. But how about this? I haven't heard one word over the weekend, and nothing from Amy, who's always championing women's rights, not one word about the Muslim preacher who said over the weekend it's okay, according to the Quran, to have sex slaves. Now, why not one word about that? Where's Hillary, the champion of women and the war on women? Nobody says anything about that. It seems to me like we hold Donald Trump to one standard. He can't say anything that's slightly politically incorrect or anything. But Hillary and the rest of the Duns and the Libs, they cannot say anything, and they're blameless. Where's the same standard?
All right, thanks for the call, Tom.
Yeah, and I'm reading that article right now. It's a British Muslim cleric was telling teenagers it's okay to have sex with slaves.
I saw it, and I would love to get more attention focused on some of those stories, but Donald Trump is making that more difficult. Kevin in Libertyville.
Morning, guys. I think the overriding narrative that a lot of people are missing is this wasn't a family that was at Arlington National Cemetery and Donald Trump happened to drive by and got into an argument here. They gave up their right as Gold Star parents to be treated with kid gloves when they took that whole situation, being Gold Star parents, went on a stage in prime time at the DNC and used it for political purposes to attack Donald Trump, support Hillary Clinton.
Would you say the same thing about Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith?
I don't think if what Patricia Smith said, she was just defending what her point was from over and over. She'd been trying to get attention, to get answers to what happened to her son.
Well, I know, but how is it different? I appreciate it. I'm glad Patricia Smith spoke at the RNC.
Right.
But it's yes, they're still entitled to their opinions, and they're entitled to do that. You're right. It opens them up to criticism. But the question is it smart to criticize them?
The Democrats didn't criticize Patricia Smith. I didn't hear one person from the Democratic Party say a word about her or tweet anything about her.
Well, certainly not that.
Because they know better.
Certainly not their presidential nominee.
Well, yeah, of course not.
What Patricia Smith said is factually accurate. What the cons are saying is factually inaccurate and should be received some blowback. If you're going to take your status as a gold medal parent and having lost a child and throw all that out on the stage in front of a national audience and use that to make
what did he say that was a falsity?
Another presidential candidate, you've lost your right to be treated with kid gloves. It's no longer your option to be treated with kid gloves that way.
Thanks for the call, Kevin.
Khan didn't get up there and lie and grossly exaggerate anything.
Well, it was a
personal attack saying, "What have you sacrificed?"
it didn't say what have you sacrificed. It says you have sacrificed no one. You have sacrificed nothing. You haven't read the Constitution. I mean, it was personal nature, but the responsible response is to say this is a grieving family who lost their son in service to the nation. I go back to say I don't know what I would do if I lost Don Jr. or Eric. I don't know how I would react. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there and walk away.
And thank you for your service.
I just, why does this have to be so complicated? Jay and Lowell, you're on Chicago. Lowell, Indiana, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Jay.
Jay.
Jay and Lowell, Indiana.
Going once.
Jay. Oh, Jay. Sorry.
We waited so long, too, and then.
Sorry, Jay. Joe on the Northwest side.
Morning, guys. Well, most of my fire has been taken away, but like I agree with the other people that if these people went on that stage to do one thing, to help get Hillary elected, so they put their son up on the stage like that. But we got to remember one thing: if Hillary gets elected, this country is through. I don't care what Donald Trump says. That's the most important thing, and we've got to stop the murder of millions of unborn every year. We've got to stop that, or this country is through.
All right, thanks for the call, Joe. Ed in Valpo. Hey, Ed.
Hello?
Hey, Ed, you're on.
Yes, I'd like to say that a very good friend of mine, as myself, has lost sons due to conflict. And I am very offended, extremely offended, by all of this talk about what the DNC did to gain political influence by using this family. All these commentators, you two included, Megyn Kelly, Hillary, Donald Trump, God willing, hope you have not lost a child, because you have no idea what that's about. None.
I think that's actually what we've said.
Comprehend what that is.
I think that's actually what we've said.
Now, it needs to stop. It needs to get off the air, move on. The Democrats use that for political gain. Get over it, everybody. Move on.
All right, thanks for the call, Ed. Cassandra in Montrose Beach.
Hi, I wanted to say to the people who say, okay, he's rude and he says these things that make him seem like he could go off. So Amy was bringing up the Glenview ladies and the nuclear codes, and you had said he's undignified, which I think covers what is upsetting about it, the things that he says sometimes. I don't disagree about the proper response would have been. But to the Glenview ladies, which is more rude? To actually look at the American people and lie about what you did and what you said, to lie to the parents of people who have lost people fighting for us, to lie about the refusal to give support to people who spent their lives in the service of their country, or to actually respond to some idiot like Kim Kardashian on Twitter. I just think that this whole issue about Donald Trump is unreliable is blown out of proportion, because what you have to look at is it rude to send Jim Carville after Paula Jones on the talk shows and call her whatever he called her? Is it rude to deny her day in court?
Yeah. Thanks for
This is what I don't get. Yes, he's out of line sometimes. He's what my mom would have called coarse, common, and vulgar sometimes. But which is more coarse, common, and vulgar, really?
Well, thanks for the call, Cassandra. But isn't that a dismal place we're at now? We're arguing about which of the presidential candidates has been more disrespectful to the fallen. And prior to this weekend, we knew which candidate it was. I mean, you could argue it still is, because she was a policymaker, being Hillary Clinton, with respect to Benghazi. So I understand that argument. But now Trump is in that argument, where before Hillary owned that designation herself.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Somewhat foggy start to the day this Monday, August 1st already. Wow, high of 78 degrees today, under partly cloudy skies. Let's get the travel times and say good morning to Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. Right now, excuse me for 1 second. Right now on the Eatons, we have no travel delays at all. It's 19 in or out from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy into downtown, 20 minutes, 31 out, heavy from Lawrence out to the O'Hare Extension. And the O'Hare Extension itself slows from Kennedy to the Tri-State. Eisenhower inbound, 30 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, 36 on the outbound. No, make it 29 outbound. Stevenson in, that's 36. It slows from Central to Pulaski. Back out is wide open. Dan Ryan inbound hits the brakes between the Stevenson and the Circle, 20 minutes in from 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford inbound slows between Dalton and the Steel Bridge. There's a disabled vehicle blocking the left lane. And Bishop Ford inbound also heavy between 103rd and the Ryan. I'm Al Verdi in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, Rolling Hills, beautiful prairie views. You can take it all in when you play golf at Golf Club of Illinois in Algonquin. Play at one of the finest golf courses in Illinois with a special seasonal deal from ChicagoRadioDeals.com. The Golf Club of Illinois is a classic link-style course featuring high grasses, treacherous sand bunkers, and strategically placed mounds on each hole. Now, this course is a stern test for all skill levels and is consistently ranked among the top 10 public courses to play by Chicagoland Golf. Find out why when you log on to ChicagoRadioDeals.com. That's ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
We're the 32-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. Hi, Tom Sadeka, CEO of Precision Payroll of America. If you are like me and are listening to this station, chances are we hold some common values and truths we hold self-evident. That's the main reason Precision Payroll attracts great clients and great employees. Precision Payroll of America operates at the core with fundamental principles that drive our attitude and delivery of service. We work hard to provide the best in pricing and value. In addition, with our great team that has been with us a long time, you are ensured a lasting relationship with people who understand your needs and always stand ready to serve. What sets us apart is that we view what we do as a great opportunity to serve others in a professional and technical capacity while building long-lasting relationships. That's what we treasure. If this message hits home, please call me at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507 or on the web at precisionpayroll.com.
Today, how to incorporate your business in just 10 minutes so you won't lose everything if you get sued. Step 1, stop putting it off. If you're not incorporated and someone sues your business tomorrow, it's not just your business at risk. You can lose everything: your home, your car, even your life savings. Step 2, call the following number for a free 10-minute incorporation guide from Incorporate.com. 1-800-900-2502. They don't provide legal or financial advice. They just make incorporating quick and easy. So you can incorporate or form an LLC in just 10 minutes. That number again is 1-800-900-2502. Step 3, congratulate yourself. By taking just 10 minutes to incorporate your business or form an LLC, you protected your home, your car, and your life savings. And that is how you incorporate your business in just 10 minutes. But hurry while they're still giving away these 10-minute incorporation guides for free. Call 1-800-900-2502. That's 1-800-900-2502.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
So we're arguing about which presidential candidate is most disrespectful to those who've given their life in service to our country and their families. And we're also arguing about which presidential candidate is more compromised by Russia. We'll focus on Hillary's Kremlin connections at 6:06.
And what really happened between Donald Trump and the NFL. We'll explain. But first, into the newsroom we go. We say hello to Dave Stewart, who's in for Mike Scott.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you, Dan. Among the stories we're watching today, Chicago's top cop says Thursday's officer shooting may have violated department policy. A cop was shot last night in Carbondale, and penalties are now tougher for driving around a rail crossing. In sports, it was the Cubs over the Mariners 7-6. The Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. Partly sunny today, high 84. More after ABC News, WIND, Chicago.
I'm Dave Anthony.
I personally think that Donald Trump poses a serious threat
to our democracy.
Hillary Clinton wrapping up a weekend bus tour of Pennsylvania and Ohio. Trump will campaign in both of those states today, telling ABC.
I have one of the great temperaments. I have a winning temperament. She has a bad temperament. She's weak.
Now, the Republicans coming under attack over his response to something at the Democratic convention. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave, the parents of a slain Muslim army officer criticized Trump, saying he's sacrificed nothing and no one for America. Trump responded, questioning why Khan's wife stood silently on stage during her husband's speech. Democrat Hillary Clinton reacted while campaigning in Ohio.
I don't know where the bounds are. I don't know where the bottom is.
Trump campaign manager Paul Manafort on Khan.
He is not the issue. We all feel sorry for what he went through. We have to stop the risk of radical jihad.
Prominent Republicans House Speaker Paul Ryan and Senate Leader Mitch McConnell have both praised Khan's son as a hero. Dave.
Rachel Russia says allegations it is behind the hacking of Democratic Party emails are absurd. Kremlin spokesman calling it a part of a cover-up to hide that the U.S. election campaign's been manipulated. A Russian helicopter has been shot down in civil war-torn Syria. All 5 people on board were killed. Moscow says it happened after delivering humanitarian supplies to Aleppo. Authorities have recovered charred cell phones and iPads and cameras from Saturday's hot air balloon crash that killed 16 people, sending them off for analysis.
We'll be interviewing witnesses and looking at witness video. We've brought in a fire specialist.
The NTSB's Robert Sumwalt, the balloon hit power lines and exploded into a fireball. They have a mess to clean up in Ellicott City, Maryland.
My daughter said it was like a mini Hurricane Katrina, and it kind of is.
After downpours of rain turned Main Street into a rushing river, damaging nearly every home and business along the way. 2 people were killed, others needed rescue. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
I'll go at 6:02 on AM 560, The Answer. I'm David Stewart. Partly sunny today. Look for a high of 84. Chicago's top cop says departmental policies may have been violated when a man was shot and killed by police on the city's south side. Superintendent Eddie Johnson spoke yesterday after stripping 3 officers of their police powers for their involvement in the shooting of Paul O'Neill.
Having been in shootings and car chases myself, I know how quickly you have to make those decisions. So if it's an honest mistake, then we'll get them training, coaching, mentoring, and get them back out there. If it's intentional misconduct, then they have to be held accountable for it.
Authorities say the 18-year-old was shot Thursday night after crashing a stolen vehicle into 2 squad cars near 74th and Merrill. The Independent Police Review Authority will determine if any policies or laws were violated. An Illinois police officer is in serious condition after being shot during a high-speed chase late last night. It happened around 11:30 in Carbondale in southern Illinois. Carbondale police say officers on patrol heard gunshots and chased a car that was speeding away from the scene. The state of Illinois ranks second in the number of people killed when they drive around railroad crossings, but a new state law is aimed at reducing those numbers. Governor Rounders signed the law, which increases the penalties for ignoring the stop arms. The new law means that a first offense could be a $500 ticket. A suburban Republican will be filling the seat left by former Illinois State Rep. Ron Sandak's resignation. Republican leaders in DuPage and Will counties chose David Olson as a replacement over the weekend. And Mayor Emanuel joined Park District officials Sunday to break ground on a project to separate the walking and bike paths along the South Lakefront, just as already been done on a stretch of the North Side path. As a runner himself, the mayor says it can be a hazard for runners to always hear bikers warning on your left as they drive by.
So wherever you live, north side, south side, enjoying a separate bike and running path so you can go the distance and do it at the speed you want to do it without always constantly being either told you're on the left or running into, if you're on a bike, a runner, is a critical investment.
The project will create separate trails initially between 31st and 40th Streets and then later extending out to 51st. In sports, Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings. Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs host the Marlins today. News service of Firestone Complete Auto Care. Firestone Complete Auto Care celebrates 90 years of keeping cars running newer, longer. Visit your local Firestone Complete Auto Care and get a $70 prepaid card by mail when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. See store for or driveafirestone.com for details. Whatever you drive a Firestone. AM 560 News Time 6:05. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
For the last year, you've heard a lot of talk from the candidates
I have a range of views.
and campaign rallies
The noisy, the aggressive, wanting to win majority.
and debates and conventions.
I'm at 42 and you're at 3, so Doesn't far matter. I'm doing better.
But on this radio station, we also want to hear from you.
All they did was talk about how bad he was and not what they're going to do. I was disgusted. The United States crossed over to stupid.
Your place to talk back on election 2016. AM 560, The Answer.
QL1, this is Control, checking in to see how excited you are for launch. Over? Well, actually, Control, I'm kind of bored. I think you cut out, QL1. It sounded like you said you were bored. That's affirmative, Control. You're about to travel 17,000 miles per hour through Earth's atmosphere, and you're bored? It just doesn't sound that exciting after using Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. I was able to get a completely online custom mortgage approval in minutes. All right, you cut out for sure this time. Did you say I can get a mortgage approval in minutes? That's right, Control. Minutes. Whether you're purchasing a new house or refinancing your existing home, Rocket Mortgage securely pulls your pay stubs and bank statements to build you a custom mortgage solution so you get exactly what you want. Wow, that is exciting. Yep, definitely better than months of dehydrated ice cream and powdered orange drink. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
At 6:06, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. Right now on the Edens, we have no delays at all. 19 either way, Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Kennedy inbound, just 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown. Outbound, it slows from Lawrence to the airport, 31 out from downtown to O'Hare. And inbound on the Eisenhower, we're looking at 34 from Thorndale to the post office, outbound in good shape. Stevenson in slow from Central to Kedzie, 37 in from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound is good. 55 moving well both directions. Dan Ryan in is slow in spots in the locals and express lanes, 22 in from 95th to downtown, outbound still wide open. And Bishop Ford inbound tight first from Dalton to the Steel Bridge, then again from 103rd into the Ryan. Traffic's a service of ADT. ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard. It's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast. A service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
We'll see partly sunny skies throughout the day today with a high of 84, partly cloudy tonight and humid with a low of 70. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, warm and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm throughout the day and a high of 86. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
Lakefront temperature 71 degrees, 67 at both Midway and O'Hare. Next news, 6:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Empowered Investing, the show dedicated to investors. Heard Saturdays at noon right here on AM 560, The Answer.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Amy, Hillary sat down with Chris Wallace this weekend for an extended 25-minute interview, and she was ecstatic to be there. And
she looked like she was on the hot seat.
A number of topics were discussed. We mentioned one of them earlier when we were talking about the flap between Trump and the Khan family. Hillary Clinton was asked about Patricia Smith speaking at the RNC and blaming Hillary Clinton for the death of her son Sean, and suggesting that Hillary Clinton, and suggesting in no uncertain terms, that Hillary Clinton lied to her when she spoke to her as Sean Smith's body was being returned to this country. She also talked about the Russians and the Russian hacking. And this is particularly interesting because not only are we talking about the dismal nature of this campaign in the context of which candidate has been most disrespectful of the fallen and their families, We're also discussing which candidate is more compromised by the Russians. This is some presidential race we've got on our hands.
Yeah. No light topic matters here.
No.
Yeah.
So here's Hillary with Chris Wallace on the Ruskies.
Well, Chris, here's what I think we know. We know that Russian intelligence services, which are part of the Russian government, which is under the firm control of Vladimir Putin, hacked into the DNC. And we know that they arranged for a lot of those emails to be released. And we know that Donald Trump has shown a very troubling willingness to back up Putin, to support Putin, whether it's saying that NATO wouldn't come to the rescue of our allies if they were invaded, talking about removing sanctions from Russian officials after they were imposed by the United States and Europe together because of Russia's aggressiveness in Crimea and Ukraine, his praise for Putin, which is, I think, quite remarkable.
And Hillary continued about the troubling questions that Trump's kind words for Putin present.
And for Trump to both encourage that and to praise Putin, despite what appears to be a deliberate effort to try to affect the election, I think raises national security issues.
Does it? Does it raise national security issues? Does this raise national security issues, Mrs. Clinton? This piece from our friend Peter Schweitzer in the Wall Street Journal over the weekend. Peter Schweitzer, the author of Clinton Cash, forthcoming movie Clinton Cash. Does this, what Peter Schweitzer documents here, Mrs. Clinton, does this raise security concerns? I wish Chris Wallace would have reviewed this with her. The Clinton Foundation State and Kremlin Connections. Schweitzer tells of a story of innovation city on the outskirts of Moscow named Skolkovo, which is billed as Russians' version of Silicon Valley, a high-tech incubator area. Kremlin committed $5 billion over 3 years to fund development of the high-tech enterprises in this community. Mrs. Clinton's State Department worked aggressively to attract U.S. investment partners and help the Russian State Investment Fund identify American tech companies worthy of Russian investment. So bring America's tech know-how to Russia and get money for American companies from Russian plutocrats. Interesting exchange program. Dozens of tech firms, including top Clinton Foundation donors, like Google, Intel, and Cisco, made major financial contributions to Skolkovo. Cisco committed $1 billion. In May 2010, the State Department...
$1 billion?
$1 billion. $1 billion.
Well, maybe that's why she spoke at their conference last year. We did.
Friends in high and low places. In May 2010, the State Department facilitated a Moscow visit by 22 of the biggest names in U.S. venture capital. And weeks later, the first memorandums of understanding were signed by Skolkovo, this, Silicon Valley in Russia, and American companies. Schweitzer goes on to document that Russians tied to Skolkovo also flowed funds to the Clinton Foundation. For example,
here.
Yeah, for example, the chairman of Super Ox, which is part of the nuclear research cluster in Skolkovo, donated between 10 and 25 grand to the Clinton family charity. He goes on. There was a report that was commissioned and released, at least in part, by the FBI on Skolkovo. And it's a bit troubling. Skolkovo Foundation has been involved in defense-related activities since December of 2011, when it approved the first weapons-related project, the development of a hypercruise missile engine. So not all of the center's efforts are civilian in nature. There was an op-ed written under a pseudonym. I think it was, maybe it wasn't a pseudonym. It was the assistant special agent at the FBI's Boston office. I guess that was the bio, Lucia Ziobra. 2014 Boston Business Journal ran an op-ed placed by the FBI that sent warnings to technology and other companies approached by Russian venture capital firms. The FBI, quoting from the op-ed, the FBI believes the true motives of the Russian partners, who are often funded by their government, is to gain access to classified, sensitive, and emerging technology from the companies. So you understand what's going on here? Hillary Clinton is at the center of this exchange program where she's bringing our best tech companies over to Russia to leverage their expertise for these Russian startups in this Silicon Valley they're trying to create on the outskirts of Moscow. The Clinton Foundation is receiving money from both the American tech companies and interested parties in Skolkovo, the Russian Silicon Valley. Meanwhile, the FBI, monitoring this to some extent, identifies that some of the projects going on in Russia's Silicon Valley are not necessarily civilian in nature, and or could be transitioned from civilian in nature to military in nature, and or they're trying to pirate technology and hack American companies, the American government, perhaps Secretary of State with a private email server. This is all going on. And this against the backdrop, remember, of Hillary's famous Russian reset. So for all of her talk about the security concerns that Donald Trump's kind words for Putin generate, does this generate national security concerns? Schweitzer, in his piece, concludes, even if it could be proven true, that the tens of millions of dollars in Clinton Foundation donations by Skolkova's key partners played no role in the Clinton State Department's missing or ignoring obvious red flags about the Russian enterprise, the perception would still be problematic, I would say, at a minimum. So there's some national security concerns. And so for all of the talk of Trump being the Manchurian candidate for the Russians,
like she's already in bed with the Russians and profiting off of them.
Over the weekend,
nice.
a Russian, an expert in Russian affairs, Professor Stephen Cohn, he's at NYU in Princeton. He was on CNN, and he had this to say about the Hillary Clinton and her campaign surrogates, the accusations they have been making about Trump with respect to Russian policy in general. This was kind of an interesting take.
Then along comes unexpectedly Donald Trump, who says something that suggests he wants to end the new Cold War, cooperate with Russia in various places, what we used to call détente. And now, astonishingly, the media is full of what only can be called neo-McCarthyite charges that he's a Russian agent, that he's a Manchurian candidate, that he's Putin's client. So the real danger is what's being done to our own political process. This is a moment when there should be, in a presidential year, a debate, because Mrs. Clinton's position on Russia seems to be very different, has been a long time. Trump speaks elliptically. You got to piece together what he says, but he seems to want a new American policy toward Russia. And considering the danger, I think we as American citizens deserve that debate and not what will be given in the media today, including on the front page of the New York Times. I end by saying that these reckless branding of Trump as a Russian agent, most of it is coming from the Clinton campaign, and they really need to stop.
How about that? That's not what you'd expect from a professor from elite institutions like Princeton and NYU, who is an expert in Russian policy. The attacks, neo-McCarthyite. As we mentioned last week, all of a sudden the press is like HUAC lawyers, right? They're when it comes to Donald Trump, when it comes to all of this backstory and the policy decisions that Hillary Clinton made as our nation's chief foreign policy officer, it's a shoulder shrug. I think Professor Cohen has a point. Don't you, Randy in Crown Point? You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Morning, Dan. I read the article and kind of tried to digest it, and I think I threw up over it. But the reality is that this is espionage by Clinton, and you can't get around it. But the media, CNN, MSLSD, none of the majors besides Fox will say a word, mention, or otherwise. It won't be in the Washington Post. It might be on the back page of New York Times, because they have started printing some articles in there, but they're always obscure. They're never on the front page. This is front page. This is dirty. And this goes back to Mitt Romney. Russia is our biggest geopolitical enemy. And you know what? This probably fits the narrative that they don't believe ISIS is a big deal. Now they might be starting to see that Russia is a big deal because Russia is very dangerous. And Hillary Clinton has been feeding them for 8 years without information, either directly or indirectly. And that's dangerous, and that's illegal. They are still not an ally of ours.
Thanks for the call, Randy. And
But if Donald Trump becomes president, they think that we'll be an ally. Of Russia's. Russia will be an ally, and 90% of Russians want Donald Trump to win.
Well, they like a strong man, have you noticed?
Yeah.
Mitt Romney, too, by the way, to Randy from Crown Point's point, ridiculed by all those geopolitical experts in the Washington press corps back in 2012 when he talked about the Russian threat. Oh, and then there's this. Speaking of the Clinton Foundation and compromising our government to line the pockets of the Clintons, Clinton Inc., the hillbilly house of cards, they've been running for 25 years. The New York Post noticed this. You know, this humanizing effort going on for Hillary Clinton. You know what was missing from the DNC in addition to references to ISIS?
American flags.
In addition to that, how about mention of the Clinton Foundation?
Oh, yeah.
No mention of the Clinton Foundation.
Even when Chelsea spoke, they didn't introduce her as a member of the Clinton Foundation.
It's interesting. Yeah, and as the New York Post editorial board opines, you think Hillary, Bill, and Chelsea would want to use the national stage to tout how their family's $2 billion foundation is, quote, helping improve the lives of millions of people across the world, as it boasts. Golly, I wonder why they didn't want to do that.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
It's not only mom and dad who do it. Guess how much Chelsea Clinton charges for a speaking event? Oh.
Too much.
Yeah, well, you'll hear coming up next, and also your phone calls. But your forecast for today, partly cloudy skies, a foggy start to your morning on the first day of August. A high of 78 degrees. And tomorrow, 30% chance of rain and warmer, humid, a high near 90 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Good morning to Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
That's right. Good morning, Amy and Dan. On the Edens inbound, we just have a little traffic backup between Devon and Montrose. 22 in from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. No outbound delays. Kennedy inbound is 22, O'Hare to downtown. Slows from the extension into Cumberland, where there's a stall on the right shoulder. Back out is 34 minutes. On the Eisenhower inbound, 47 from Thorndale to the post office. 36 back out to Thorndale. Now outbound at Harlem, the off-ramp is blocked with a crash. Stevenson in 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 38 minutes. Outbound still looks good. Dan Ryan is 20 in from 95th to downtown. Outbound no delays. 57 in from Halstead to the Ryan. Traffic's backed up there a little bit. Bishop Ford inbound slows from 103rd to the Ryan. 20 minutes in from 8094. Lakeshore Drive is wide open. Tri-State northbound heavy from Reagan to the Grand Avenue curve. I'm Al Verdi in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Have you ever seen what really goes on in your caterer's or favorite restaurant's kitchen? What does the kitchen look like? How big is the operation? And maybe most importantly, who's cooking my meal? When you cater with Tasty Catering, you get more than quality food and event planning. You get an invitation to see what goes on throughout our entire building, including our kitchen. We call it our open kitchen door policy. Come see for yourself why we are so proud of what we do, and gain the peace of mind that comes with knowing the who's, the what's, the where's, and the how's of the way we prepare your food. Visit tastycatering.com for more information, or contact a Tasty Catering sales representative and set up a time to come meet with us at our home. You can't put a price on peace of mind, but if you had to, all it takes is one visit. Call 847-593-2000, 847-593-2000, or start your visit through our open doors at tastycatering.com.
Hey, Bob, how's business? Is the new website helping?
Not good. I can't figure out how to get the website finished. How did you do it?
Easy. I called Web.com. They built my website for free. Then they promoted it on all the search engines.
Like Google, Yahoo, and Bing?
Exactly. And Web.com has helped grow my business so much, I had to bring on new staff.
Hey, if Web.com did it for you, they're perfect for me.
Call now, 1-800-535-8815. That's 1-800-535-8815. Again, 1-800-535-8815.
You don't have to be a retail giant or government agency to be the victim of a costly data breach.
If you run a website and collect customer data, your small to mid-sized business is just as likely to be targeted by hackers. The Barracuda Web Application Firewall provides cost-effective instant security against automated and targeted attacks, making this WAF a must-have for your SMB. Reclaim your network. Try a Barracuda Web App Firewall risk-free at barracuda.com/WAF.
AM 560, The Answer.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Now, a bit of breaking news to tell you about this morning. A police officer in Carbondale, Illinois, was shot last night just before midnight. He and other officers and a police cruiser were responding to shots fired in a neighborhood, and they drove up to the scene. And while they were doing that, a driver of a tan vehicle drove away and sprayed the police cruiser with bullets. The police officer has been shot. They took him to Memorial Hospital in Carbondale, but he has now been transported to St. Louis, which is a serious sign, to a level trauma 1 center. And this morning he's in serious condition.
All right, well,
they're still looking for the gunman.
We'll keep that unfortunate story updated as we get more information. A related story, a positive story. Did you see this? Dallas Cowboys in training camp paying tribute to the families of the officers who were assassinated in Dallas.
Don't make me cry.
Families of 4 of the 5 officers killed in an ambush downtown were represented, and children were among those holding hands with Dallas players as they came out of the locker room after Jerry Jones' speech and into training camp for all the fans to see. They walked arm in arm with the families of the officers who were murdered. The Cowboys also unveiled a helmet decal they will wear in the preseason and possibly the regular season. It says arm in arm, and then it's a circle around a star meant to symbolize a mix of the Cowboys' famous logo and the star Dallas police wear on their uniforms. So, and if you see in the video, it's a really nice moment. So good for the Cowboys, and it's so difficult because I despise the Cowboys because I'm a Steelers fan.
Well, yeah, but you have to.
But
love
I
them,
know
what they do.
I have to put my petty jingoistic support of the Steelers aside to recognize the Cowboys did something very nice.
And quickly, talking about Chelsea Clinton, you know how she introduced her mom Thursday night, and her stock is rising. Guess how much she charges now? If you want her to speak at your event, maybe, we have our Freedom Summit coming up. If we want to hire her.
Scrape together the cash to bring Chelsea in?
Guess how much? So her mom charges what, $300,000? Well, Cisco, I know, gave her $150,000 to speak.
Yeah, and then Bill Clinton's speaking fee spiked when Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. I wonder why.
I have no idea why.
I don't know. It's a cool $250,000.
$65,000.
Oh.
Do you think she should be charging more?
No.
But that's her new cost if you want to hire her.
You know what?
Speak at your event.
If, God forbid, Hillary Clinton wins the presidency, I bet those fees go up. And then we'll be in the same position we were when Hillary was Secretary of State. Gosh, I wonder why.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder why.
Political payback. Yeah.
Let's go to Mark in Des Plaines.
This humanization of Hillary Clinton has to stop. I mean, look at this woman. And people
it has to stop because it's not working.
Well, and people need to see Dinesh D'Souza's movie. I mean, Hillary's America, because that tells you what they are. She looks wicked. Okay, she just looks wicked. Sorry to say that.
Well, so does Donald Trump.
Something wicked this way comes.
But he looks like smart. But Trump looks smart. That's the thing. He is a smart guy. He's a sharp guy, and he can give it back to him because he knows what he's doing. He's a New Yorker. All right.
All right. Thanks, Mark.
I don't know if he knows what he's doing, especially on this one when he was attacking a Gold Star family and the mom because she didn't speak. Oh, and by the way, the mom has spoken. Madame Khan was on CNN, and we'll bring it to you in a little bit.
Phil on the Northwest Side.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. Sometimes I wish you guys were on twice a day.
Oh, thank you.
I want to spend more time with Dan.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think I trust the Russians more than I trust the Clintons. I mean, they've practically been working for the communists all their life. And, back in the 80s, the way the European lottery systems work, and you have, for every one Polish immigrant coming over, 9 Russian immigrants were coming over. And when I look at this, I think to myself, government jobs. They weren't roofing houses. They weren't driving trucks. They had government jobs and media jobs. And then fast forward, we have the Clinton years. And if she wins, they'll be running their daughter next. The whole thing is absurd.
Thanks for the call, Phil. Actually, there's a show where art imitates life, I think, because the Americans.
Oh.
Kerry Russell, that's the Hillary Clinton character.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The sleeper agents in the 80s in America. Maybe we've stumbled upon it. Get this clip over to Alex Jones. Let him flesh it out.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to focus in and talk about the big ideas behind the important issues. Enter Upstream Ideas online at upstream-ideas.com. Upstream Ideas, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted beliefs. Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now at upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to help encourage you to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit freer, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Gold Star families are now demanding an apology from Donald Trump.
And after 2 weeks of conventions, where does the race stand? We'll get the numbers and their implications from Michael Barone, the Washington Examiner, at 6:36.
And right now we're going to get the news from here at home and around the world. Let's say good morning to Dave Stewart, who's in for our good friend Mike Scott.
Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. 67 degrees in Chicago, 631 on AM 560. The Answer. Mostly sunny and warm today with a high of 84. Republican presidential nominee Donald Trump responded to a fallen soldier's father who said that Trump has never sacrificed anything or anyone.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs.
Kazir Khan is a Muslim American whose son was a soldier killed in Iraq. He called Trump out in his speech at the Democratic convention, asking him if he's even read the Constitution. But in an interview with ABC's This Week, Trump explained he has sacrificed by employing thousands of people and raising millions for veterans. Hillary Clinton's post-convention poll bump has her in front of Donald Trump. This morning's CBS News poll shows Clinton leading Trump 46% to 39% in a national survey. Donald Trump's wife's back in the news after the New York Post published a front-page nude photo of a former model named Melania Trump. On Sunday's front page, the Post published a 1995 French magazine picture of the 25-year-old model. Trump says that was from before they met. 2 men were killed, at least 21 other people wounded in shootings across Chicago between Saturday afternoon and early Sunday morning. The most recent fatal shooting, 1 a.m. Sunday, a 27-year-old man killed in the West Garfield Park neighborhood. And a Chicago Sun-Times investigation has found that while 3 of every 4 property owners in Chicago have been hit with higher property taxes this year, 18 of the city's 50 aldermen avoided those hefty tax hikes. Those aldermen did that by convincing county assessor and local Democratic Party leader Joe Barrios, or the Cook County Board of Review, to lower the assessed value of their homes. 5 of those aldermen actually owe less than they did last year. In sports, Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings. The Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs hosting the Marlins today. News and service of Accountemps. Business needs can change day to day. That's why at Accountemps, you can rely on their flexible staffing solutions to provide temporary accounting and finance professionals whenever you need in an extra hand. Call today or visit Accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. AM 560 News Time, 6:33. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Dennis Prager has an interesting look at the presidential candidates.
Over time, he has somewhat metamorphosed in my mind. I'm at the tentative place right now wherein I regard him as a sheep in wolf's clothing, and I regard her as a wolf in wolf's clothing.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I'm
telling you right now, it's awesome. I was trying to get my blood pressure regulated, okay? And like after 3 days of taking this thing, my blood pressure went back down to normal. I am ecstatic. I am so happy with this stuff. It is my savior.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down and it's normal now. It works.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Use promo code Chicago.
At 6:35, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. On the Edens inbound, we're looking at 21 minutes. Lake Cook into the Kennedy Junction. Outbound, still no delays. Kennedy in, O'Hare to downtown, 28-minute ride, 41 back out to O'Hare. Eisenhower's 46 into the post office from Thorndale, 35 back out. Outbound at Harlem, the off-ramp is blocked with a crash. On the Stevenson, inbound heavy already, 51 from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 38 back out. 55 traffic's moving well. Dan Ryan inbound is 23 from 95th to downtown, and just 15 minutes on the outbound trip. 57 inbound slows from 115th to the Ryan. Traffic's a service of Firestone Complete Auto Care. Firestone Complete Auto Care is celebrating 90 years of keeping cars running newer and longer. Visit your local Firestone Complete Auto Care and get a $70 prepaid card by mail when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. See store or driveafirestone.com for details. Whatever you drive a Firestone. Traffic answers when you need the most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now your forecast. A service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny and 84 today, partly cloudy, humid tonight, low 70. Mostly cloudy, warm and humid tomorrow, maybe a shower or thunderstorm, and a high of 86. Right now, 67 at O'Hare. Next news update, 7 o'clock. Continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show, a show about the truth of the foreclosure crisis. Saturday mornings at 8 on AM 560, The Answer.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So Trump was in Colorado Springs on Friday.
Yeah, I watched a little of that.
And just so you're on notice, Hillary Clinton, no more Mr. Nice Guy.
Taking the gloves off. Just remember this. Trump is going to be no more Mr. Nice Guy.
No
more Mr. Nice Guy.
There's nothing I enjoy more than when Trump speaks in third person. After 2 weeks of convention, where does the race stand, and what are the implications of the numbers? For commentary on that, we're now happy to be joined by the best numbers guy in the business, particularly with the best institutional knowledge in the business. He is Michael Barone, senior political analyst for the Washington Examiner. Michael, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and thanks for the nice words, although some people think I should be more in more of an institutional environment.
Yes, the padded walls version. Well, this campaign may drive you to that. It seems to me that
padded walls would feel good right now.
Yeah, it seems to me after the two conventions, we're basically in the same place we were prior to the two conventions.
Well, we're in a similar place. I mean, I think, initial polling suggests that Donald Trump got mild bumpers or bounce, they say, for the Republican convention. We haven't had full polling yet, but it looks like Hillary Clinton probably got the same for the Democratic convention.
Michael Barone, in your opinion, what was the highlight of the Democratic convention for you, and what was the highlight of the Republican convention for you?
In both cases, Friday.
You didn't particularly care for either one, is what you're saying.
leaving town. No, the increased security requirements and so forth mean that members of the press, you have to walk a lot in the hot sun, and it was particularly hot in Philadelphia, and the walk is particularly large. Now, it's left in the same place, but, I think there's one thing that's really significant about the numbers. You compare the previous elections where there have been a really static pattern of support, roughly besides for the two parties, 2000, 2004, 2008, 2012. At this stage of this campaign, it's only about 7-8% of the voters in polls were not choosing one of the two major party candidates. Right now, it's at least 15% if you offer them one or two other alternatives, Libertarian Gary Johnson or Green Party Jill Stein. It's up to 23, 25% are not the major party candidates. And I think, in some ways, the result's going to look like 1992, which is no candidate. Ross Perot was a major candidate. No candidate gets a majority of the vote, or really very close to it, and previous voting patterns are upset and altered, changed.
Yeah, there was a story out over this weekend looking at the polling averages, the bit of a surge that particularly Gary Johnson, Libertarian candidate, enjoyed. But that surge also is a long way from really being a threat the way Perot was, because he doesn't have the resources, and it's unlikely he gets to 15% to get into the presidential debates. But the interesting thing about Gary Johnson right now is that he seems to be taking slightly more voters away from Hillary than he does Trump. And, of course, the Green Party candidate is certainly doing that. So it seems to me both of the non-major party candidates benefit Trump.
That probably is true. I mean, it's hard to gauge support for a third-party candidate. If you leave their names off the poll, you tend to understate support if they have some. If you put their names on the polls, you probably overstate their support because you mentioned it as prominently as you mentioned the major party candidates, and they really don't get that kind of prominent attention from the voters' point of view. That said, it looks like, with large two-thirds of voters having negative, unfavorable feelings about Trump and about Clinton, you've obviously got some considerable quantum who have unfavorable feelings about both, or cross-pressure, and might be in the market to support a third-party candidate, or tantalizing possibility, stay home. We don't know what turnout's going to be. It's one thing that pollsters have great trouble gauging. It would appear to be somewhat higher this year, and in fact, we've been in a period of declining turnout since 2008. The Obama years have been years of declining voter turnout, including in Chicago.
How do you think what's going on between Donald Trump and Khan's family, how do you think that that's going to affect him with voters?
Well, if this was the first time Donald Trump had gotten into a controversy where most people in the mainstream media said, oh, he can't possibly say that, that's terrible. People will abandon him because he's violated the rules of politeness and comedy and so forth. If this is the first time people in the major media said that, I might be looking for some kind of blowback against Donald Trump. It's about the 20th time. Mostly hasn't hurt Trump. Has sometimes. And I think it's who he is. I think that many of his supporters will say, hey, he's not politically correct. And we like that, and so forth. So I don't see this going to have a major negative effect.
Looking at where the race is right now with 100 days to go, how do you assess the prospect that this race is going to be different in states, in the Rust Belt states like Ohio and Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Iowa, where Trump really needs to make hay if he is going to win? The changing demographics of this general election as compared to the last two Obama elections?
Well, we've had really 4 elections in which we've had pretty static partisan patterns, some differences between 04 and 08, but not major. I expect some disruption this time. What we know about Trump is that the voters that he attracts that perhaps didn't vote Republican for tend to be older, tend to be lower education. That suggests on the list of what have been the 11 target states, the 39, including your own blessed and solvent Illinois.
Yes, right.
Not among them. But you look at that and you say, where does he gain? Older, less educated. The answer is Florida, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Pennsylvania is thought to be, it's gone Democratic last 6 elections. Only 52-47 last time, the same as other target states like Iowa, New Hampshire, that everybody agrees are target states. Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida together have 67 electoral votes. You take those votes away from Obama in 2012, and you have President Romney. Those are the states that made the difference. So those are obvious targets for Trump. He's doing, maybe out in Colorado, he's doing less well in Colorado. He's doing less well in Virginia, which are both states that have had significant increase in population with high education people coming in.
Right, but in those
are less favorable.
Right, and in those states that are more favorable, like really putting Pennsylvania in play, it seems to me this is a base plus play of a different sort. It's not ideological. It's other demographics, as you mentioned. Frankly, race and income level and education level, and this is where Trump is. And this is where Trump is reaching over to bring in some people that have been voting with the union label for some time.
Well, he's raised issues on trade and immigration. There are substantive issues, not just, I don't like the other guy's race, substantive issues on which those people tend to agree with his position and policy to the extent he's set out a policy. And he's got some appeal there. So, as I say, he does less well in the higher education areas. One of the things I observed on Trump in the primary, his support is inversely proportional to degree of social connectedness, social capital, how much you're involved in voluntary associations. Do you regularly vote? Do you regularly attend church? Do you regularly, have regular habits with regard to going to work and so forth? And where social capital is low, he does well. That's good for him in Nevada. And Nevada's got 6 electoral votes. It has puzzled some of the observers who thought, the culinary union made up of Mexicans, Filipino members, very large numbers of those. With that increasing number of non-whites, Trump's just doomed in Nevada. Well, we've got some polling that shows Trump winning or competitive in Nevada. Nevada is low associational, low social connectedness. When Trump says, I am your voice in all capital letters, he's basically saying, you folks who don't have any social connectedness, you've got me working for you.
Yeah, that's really an interesting point.
Solve your problems.
That's really an interesting point, the social connectedness quotient, and that speaks to people who feel ostracized from the American dream and so forth. That's really interesting stuff. Michael Barone, senior political analyst for the Washington Examiner, WashingtonExaminer.com. Michael, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, Donald Trump says the fall debate schedule is unacceptable, raising the chance that he may try and skip it. We'll explain. But first, here's your forecast today. Plenty of sunshine, a high of 78 degrees, a few high clouds, but no big deal. Then tomorrow, we have a chance of rain, a high near 90 degrees. And on Wednesday, a chance of rain yet again, and a high of 83 degrees. Any sticky spots on the roadways? Let's go to Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Right now, Eden's inbound, just a little slowdown from Devon to Montrose, 22 in from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction. Outbound, that's working well. On the Kennedy inbound, it's 36 O'Hare to downtown, but 47 back out to O'Hare. Eisenhower in, heavy, 51 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. Back out, it's 43 to Thorndale. We had an earlier crash at the Harlem off-ramp that had that ramp closed. Well, that's been cleared, and you can get back off there. Stevenson inbound over an hour from 355 to Lakeshore Drive, 46 back out to 355. And Dan Ryan into downtown from 95th, a 26-minute trip, no outbound delays. 57 inbound heavy, 107th to the Ryan. Bishop Ford inslows from Cottage Grove. Lakeshore Drive southbound hits the brakes between 18th and the Stevenson. From Jackson to 67th, about 17 minutes. I'm Al Verity in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I'm Keith Peters in for Lou Dobbs. The new week begins with several key economic reports. A high-energy deal in Texas and tourism to Spain is breaking records. Those stories next.
Bill Bennett here to tell you about Augusta Precious Metals. What if you could store your IRA or 401k where you can see, touch, and hold it in person in the form of physical gold and silver coins? I know I would, and you can't do that with stocks. With the Augusta Gold and Silver IRA, you can transfer retirement savings into physical coins and store them where you can actually see them. Free shipping, zero management fees, and Augusta pays all upfront costs. Getting started is absolutely free. Rated A+ with the Better Business Bureau, enjoys a 98% five-star customer satisfaction rating with TrustLink.org. Trust Augusta. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993 now for your free guide to Augusta Gold IRAs. Call toll-free 1-855-222-6993. That's 1-855-222-6993 or visit AugustaPreciousMetals.com.
On tap this morning, the Purchasing Manufacturers Index will be revealed. It gives an advance indication of what's really happening in the private sector economy. Also, the Commerce Department will release the latest figures on construction spending. The state of Texas's largest electric utility is being acquired by Florida-based energy company Next Era Energy. It says it's reached an agreement to acquire Encore, which supplies electricity to over 3 million Texans. Tourism is skyrocketing in Spain. In 2016's first 6 months, visitors jumped by over 12%. Experts say fears of attacks by radical Islamic terrorists continue to drive foreigners away from Spain's rival destinations in the Mediterranean. Please join us for Lou Dobbs tonight at 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. I'm Keith Peters for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
Hey, there's a great reason why nearly every AM 560 host endorses this product, because it's the best. Even the National Sleep Foundation agrees that Made in America, MyPillow, is in a class by itself because they made it their official pillow. Now, if you still haven't bought one, you should. You'll sleep better, and it's good for your health. It's washable to remove that dead skin, dirt, skin oils, and dust mites. Yes, that's why your pillow is so heavy. That can cause allergies, acne, and asthma. You really deserve a washable MyPillow. It comes with a 10-year warranty, and it's an excellent health investment. So visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Be sure to use the promo code Amy so I can get some credit. And you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of one. Give one as a gift. Keep the other for yourself. Or just use both, but do it now. Do not wait. 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy. That's 800-489-0201.
For me, it was the big S-Class from the 90s. Beautiful. My friend's dad had one.
The SL. All of the SLs. I've been watching those since I was a kid.
I think the 1971 SE was the first Mercedes that just blew me away.
Everyone remembers the first time they saw one, and the day they began to long for a Mercedes-Benz of their own. Well, that day may be a lot closer than you think. With a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz, you can experience the luxury and safety Mercedes-Benz is famous for at a price you can afford. Beautiful SUVs, sedans, coupes, and convertibles that are factory certified and covered by an unlimited mileage warranty for up to 3 years, so you can drive without a worry for as far as you like. And during the certified pre-owned sales event, now through August 31st, you can receive 2 years of complimentary prepaid maintenance and 0.99% APR financing on select models, available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services. You've waited long enough.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties. APR offer available only to qualified customers. Call 1-800-FOR-MERCEDES for details about costs and terms.
AM 560, The Answer.
No more Mr. Nice Guy.
Dan and Amy, that's what Trump said in Colorado Springs on Friday. No more Mr. Nice Guy, and he'll have the chance to face off for the first time against Hillary on September 26th at Hofstra University, the Hofstra Pride. Although I still go by their unofficial nickname, the Flying Dutchman.
Yeah, but there's
that's
a problem.
Only if he shows up.
Yeah, well, on Friday night, he tweeted, ready, because he loves to tweet. He incorrectly tweeted that Hillary Clinton and the Democrats are trying to rig the debates. But he doesn't know that these presidential debates were scheduled 18 months ago by a nonpartisan commission on presidential debates. It's a private group, and but
by the way, there's no such thing as nonpartisan.
all right,
But
well,
okay.
that's what they're touting. But
Yeah, of course.
regardless, he thinks that the system is rigged because 2 of the 3 debates, Dan, are going up against the NFL. And Donald Trump claims that the NFL has sent him a letter saying that this is ridiculous because it's going to take ratings away from the NFL.
Well, I'll tell you what I don't like. It's against 2 NFL games. I got a letter from the NFL saying this is ridiculous. Why are the debates against? Because the NFL doesn't want to go against the debates because the debates are going to be pretty massive from what I understand, okay? And I don't think we should be against the NFL. I don't know how the dates were picked. I don't know why those particular
So you don't
dates.
like the dates that are out there?
Well, I don't like dates against, Hillary Clinton wants to be against the NFL. She doesn't, maybe like she did with Bernie Sanders, where they were on Saturday nights when nobody's home. But they're against the NFL. I saw the dates. I think 2 of the 3 are against the NFL. So I'm not thrilled with that. But I like 3 debates. I think that's fine. I think it's enough. Somebody said 1 debate, I'd rather have 3. I think they'll be very interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
But wait, Dan. The NFL said that while we'd obviously wish the debate commission could find on another night, we did not send a letter to Donald Trump. So why would he make that up?
The bigger issue.
Why would he lie?
The bigger
about
issue is why is he afraid of going up against the Saints and the Falcons on the 26th?
Yeah, I know. Really, I mean that's not really a football game.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but then the Green Bay Packers play
Carolina in the second.
Yeah,
that's a good game.
Okay, so what do we?
But everybody's
we're going to the second debate.
Everybody wants to see the first debate. I mean, that's good.
That's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, I expect in that first debate there will be more hitting than there will be in the Saints-Falcons game.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're serious about selling your home, now is the time. Supply is low, and it's a great seller's market in many Chicagoland neighborhoods. I've done the research, and along with my Salem Radio colleagues, Mike Gallagher and Michael Medved, we all recommend that you call Saul. Saul Z and the Z team are so good that if they don't sell your home in 59 days, they'll sell it for free, guaranteed. Saul is ranked 106 out of 1.2 million agents by the Wall Street Journal. His proven marketing system is so effective that he sells on average a home every single day, attracting multiple full-price offers. That demand helps sell your home fast and at the highest price. It's a no-brainer. If I were selling a home in Chicagoland, I'd call Saul. Go online to callsaul.net or call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's callsaul, S-A-U-L.net, or 888-346-0666. You'd better call Saul.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com saves you money, so you'll have room for improvement, home improvement. The Grout Medic is offering shower touch-ups for only $110 to make your shower and tub area look like new again. It's a steam cleaning and sanitizing process on all of your tile surfaces. It's a $250 retail value. And wait until you see the before and after results. It's a picture you can post on your Instagram. Also from the Grout Medic is a clean and color seal flooring. That includes steam cleaning your grout, washing the tiles, and applying a color sealer to match. Now, this process also normally retails for $250, only $110 at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. So make your way to ChicagoRadioDeals.com for huge savings on air duct cleaning, dryer vent cleaning from Royal Air, their certificates to Addison Supply, and much more. Find it all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Hey there, this is Eric Metaxas. Lately, I've been telling you about Liberty University's online degree programs. Liberty University is the world's largest Christian university with over 95,000 students studying around the world through Liberty's online programs. While there are a lot of universities who've jumped into online education, few can deliver on the promise of a quality education with such flexibility, and even fewer can actually point to a graduate of their online program like my friend Morgan from Nashville.
I did it. I actually got my degree from Liberty University. 2 degrees, actually. Not only has this process taught me self-discipline, I've also learned that it is never too late to fulfill your dreams. And I did it all online. I did it, and you can too.
Call Liberty University now at 800-424-9595. That's 800-424-9595, 800-424-9595, or visit liberty.edu/online. Flexible, affordable, possible. Liberty University online.
I am so glad I did it. I'm just mad at myself for waiting so long. Hi, Amy Jacobson here for CertaPro Painters. You know, our front porch had chipping and peeling. It looked old and run down, but thanks to CertaPro Painters, it looks brand new again. And trust me, my neighbors are happy I did it. And you know, it's not too late to book that painting project. But don't wait. Be sure to get on CertaPro Painters' summer painting schedule today. Call 800-GO-CERTA or visit CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. You know, CertaPro Painters will work around your busy schedule to get your home looking picture perfect for all your summer entertaining. That's why CertaPro Painters says we do painting, you do life. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated. Whether it's residential or commercial, interior or exterior, it's not too late to get that painting project off your to-do list. Call now, 1-800-GO-CERTA, 1-800-GOCERTA, or visit CertaPro.com today.
Local news after an update from Fox News on AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago, it's 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The Republican nominee embroiled in controversy again.
Shame on you, Donald Trump.
That's Hillary Clinton attacking him in Ohio, where Trump will rally today. He'll also go to Pennsylvania, dealing with the fallout over his reaction to what the Muslim father of a soldier murdered in Iraq said at the Democratic convention. Trump called it a vicious attack and questioned why Kaiser Khan's wife stood silent.
I can say that my religion or my family or my culture never stopped me saying whatever I want to say. And my husband is very supportive of me in these things that I have all the rights as a wife, as a mother, as a daughter. I have done very well saying my mind out, but that time was different. And anybody can see that how different that time was when I was standing there in front of America. So I'm thankful for everything that America has given me, everything that I had.
Although
God
Putin
from
has
America,
described Donald
the
Trump as
most
very
of it,
talented,
the love and
Trump
the
has
respect.
spoken of wanting to get along
I
with
just-
Russia. Dave?
Simon,
I'm
5
so
Russians
happy
are dead after
to
the
be
helicopter was
saying
shot
that
down
I
today
am
in
a
Syria
Muslim woman,
following a delivery of
and
aid
Muslim
to
women
Aleppo.
have all
Ellicott
the
City,
rights
Maryland's
that
Main
in
Street
the
is a
world.
disaster area.
In the eyes of God, we
After
are
Saturday
equal
night's
to our
flooding, at one point people formed a human
husbands.
chain to
We
save
are
a woman.
equal,
Fox's Tanya J.
and we
Powers
are
has more live.
Dave
number
Dempster was
one
part
in
of that
the
heroic effort from
household,
bystanders
in my
that rescued
family,
that
in
woman
my
from those
culture,
floodwaters
in
and
my
says the whole thing happened pretty
community. I'm very glad that I have
Nearly every home
been
business,
in this
including Dempster's along
country,
Main Street
and
in
I
Ellicott
got
City, is
all
damaged.
the
Now
happiness
the town faces
and
months
that
of recovery
comes
that could run into
for
the hundreds of
Humayun.
millions of dollars.
Yeah,
2 people were killed
somebody
and
have to
6.5
pay
inches of water was
the
dumped on
price
the
for
community in just a few hours.
this
Fox News Radio,
freedom that we
fair
have.
and balanced.
Thank you, America.
Good morning, 67 degrees in
I'm
Chicago
really
at 7:02 on AM 560
very
The
happy
Answer. I'm
for
David Stewart.
the
Partly sunny
things that
skies today,
I
look for a
got
high of
from
84.
America and from all
Chicago's
over
top
the
cop
world.
says
My
departmental
respect,
policies
my
may have been
love has
violated
gone
when a man was shot and killed by
a lot
police on the
that I
south
was
side.
expecting,
Superintendent Eddie Johnson
but
spoke
always,
after
wherever I
stripping
go,
the third officer of
I
their
don't
police
know,
powers
people
for
hug
their
me,
involvement
people
in the
love
shooting
me,
of
not
Paul
right
O'Neill.
now, but all these 12 years, I had America's respect. That's why I thought I should go with my husband, stand there and tell them
Authorities say the
how
18-year-old
Muslim
shot
feels
Thursday
in this
night after
country.
crashing a stolen
We
vehicle
feel very
into 2 squad
protected.
cars near 74th
We feel
and Merrill.
very
The
happy,
Independent
and
Police Review
our
Authority will
futures
determine
are,
if any
our
policies or
children
laws
are
were
in a
violated
safe
in that
place.
shooting. A couple is dead after an apparent murder-suicide on the city's west side. Police say a man shot his wife to death yesterday afternoon outside the Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church on West Chicago Avenue and then turned the gun on himself. An investigation is underway after a deadly crash in north suburban Bensonville. Police say 2 vehicles hit head-on yesterday near the area of Grand Avenue and Crown Road. 1 person killed, 7 others hospitalized. 4 firefighters are recovering after battling a blaze on the west side. Officials say it started yesterday inside an apartment building in the 4900 block of West Potomac Avenue. Each firefighter is now hospitalized in stable condition. And a suburban Republican will be filling the seat left by former Illinois Representative Ron Sandak's resignation. Republican leaders in DuPage and Will counties chose David Olson as a replacement over the weekend. In sports, Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings. The Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs are hosting the Marlins at Wrigley Field today. News and service of ADT.
ADT, the security leader for over 140 years. Trust ADT to protect your home, family, and all you care about. When you have ADT security, it's more than a sign in your yard, it's a line in the sand. Visit ADT.com.
AM 560 News Time, 7:04. Time to check the climate of your business with aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Sean Hannity can't believe the president is still bringing in Syrian refugees.
I said that if one person dies as a result of Hillary and Obama's policy, they'd have blood on their hands. I hold them responsible because they're not listening to James Clapper, James Comey, Michael Steinbeck, the House Homeland Security Chairman, and all these other people. They refuse to listen to them.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Control, this is QL1. Everything looks good on my end. Prepping for liftoff. Over. One more thing, QL1. What's that, Control? You've been talking a lot about Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans lately. What would you say is the best reason to use it? Well, it's completely online. It's easy to use. You can get approved in minutes. It's convenient. You can share your pay stubs and bank statements at the touch of a button, so you get real numbers, not estimates. And hey, QL1, I asked for the best reason. Yeah, go ahead and pick one. Anyone. That's tough. They all sound great. I think you're finally getting it, Control. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
At 7:06, let's check those roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. Inbound on the Edens, we're looking at a delay from Pratt to Montrose. It's 25 in from Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, and the same back out. In outbound slows from Montrose to about 2E. Kennedy in is 39-minute trip O'Hare to downtown. 17 in from Montrose in the locals, just 10 though in the express. Outbound is heavy. It's 49 back out to O'Hare. Eisenhower in 53 from Thorndale to the post office. 40 in from Manheim, back out to Manheim 32, and 46 out to Thorndale. Stevenson is over an hour in from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. 45 on the reverse trip. 55 traffic's moving well both directions, and Dan Ryan in 26 from 95th to downtown. Still no outbound delays there. 57 in slows, 107 to the Ryan. Bishop Ford in from Cottage Grove to the Ryan is slow, and Lakeshore Drive southbound tight between 18th and the Stevenson. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next. Now the forecast, the service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
We'll see partly sunny skies today with a high of 84, partly cloudy tonight and humid with a low of 70. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy throughout the day, warm and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm and a high of 86 degrees. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
74 at the lakefront now, 73 at Midway, and 69 at O'Hare. Next news, 7:30. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560 The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Money Hour Radio Show, Saturday afternoons at 3 on AM 560 The Answer. Brought to you by Pearshale Financial Group.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs.
He will be a better person if he could become, but he is a black soul.
I reject that, and I'm disappointed that he would say that. Donald Trump complimented him.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, Can a Cantor-esque upset be sprung in Kenosha?
Hey, I see where you're going with that.
Yes. Debbie Wasserman Schultz, she in trouble in Florida.
Oh, big time trouble.
Especially after she was deposed from the DNC. Now, Paul Ryan, House
but
Speaker.
also they're claiming, her opponent is claiming that she used DNC funds and shifted that for her campaign.
Well, that's a good
they're
issue.
Digging a little deeper.
That's a good issue for the professor down there in Florida. Less of an issue for Paul Nean, who's challenging Paul Ryan, House Speaker Paul Ryan in Kenosha, because Paul Ryan did preside over the convention. He did have good things to say about Trump. He essentially made the argument very similar to how Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker made the argument. A vote for anybody other than Trump is a vote for Hillary Clinton. That's effectively the argument that he made. But Paul Ryan was there and
kept his job.
Well, and did he consolidate his support in district by being a team player, one could argue. Well, let's get an update on that campaign, one of the more heated primaries nationally right now. Paul Nean, candidate for Congress in Wisconsin's 1st District, Kenosha, running against House Speaker Paul Ryan, joins us now. Paul, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, good morning. Great to be on.
So I understand the race has closed to within striking distance for you, which is interesting. I guess that speaks to some of the dissatisfaction with Paul Ryan. But I wonder, as somebody who has been a fairly outspoken supporter of Trump from the outset, if you at least concede that Paul Ryan did the right thing by presiding over the convention and did so admirably.
Well, two things. I'm glad he was there because he wasn't back here campaigning, which I was, knocking thousands of doors. But he in no way has given a full-throated endorsement of Trump. I mean, he can barely mention Trump's name. Pence came through here in Waukesha, and I was there a week ago cheering on our candidate. Paul Ryan couldn't be bothered to come out there and cheer on Mr. Pence because I honestly think he ought to be reporting in-kind contributions to Hillary Clinton's camp. I mean, he just came out with this con thing. He's piling on Mr. Trump on this thing with the cons. You know, let me throw a couple facts at you here. We just got a Free Republic poll came out, has me winning. There's, as you said, there's polls that have had me within striking distance. When I'm meeting people at doors and I'm hearing the dissatisfaction at the fairs, there are so many people upset with Paul Ryan, and honestly, the stakes could not be any clearer. These are the facts. Nobody disputes them. If Paul Ryan is reelected, if he's sent back to Congress, he will ram through TPP. He will push for the biggest amnesty in this country's history. And immediately after his reelection, he will push Obama's jailbreak crime agenda. And if Americans want President Trump to be successful, we must retire Speaker Ryan.
Well, Speaker Ryan, I mean, he's had to clean up Donald Trump's messes, I believe, for months now. And he responded because Khan's family Mitch McConnell asked Paul Ryan to come forward to denounce some of this behavior. And he said many Muslim Americans have served valiantly in our military and made the ultimate sacrifice.
Well, wait a minute. Let me throw some more facts at you here.
Okay.
They came here in the 70s from Pakistan, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he died before
he died 12
Fort Hood shootings, the Boston Marathon bombings, the Chattanooga killings, San Bernardino Christmas party mass shooting, and the Orlando nightclub. So circumstances have clearly dramatically changed since Captain Khan's death. And hey, those are Gold Star parents. Nobody's saying they aren't Gold Star parents. They lost their kid. But let's be clear. Muslim Americans have been fighting on both sides of the war. In fact, more Muslim Americans, 20, have been killed since 9/11 fighting for ISIS than have been killed fighting for America, 14. Since 9/11, the number of Muslim Americans who have been killed in action fighting for the U.S. is the same as the number of American soldiers who have been killed by fellow Muslim American soldiers, Major Nadan Hassal at Fort Hood and Sergeant Hassan Akbar at Camp Pennsylvania in Kuwait. Since 9/11, the number of Muslim Americans who have been killed fighting for terrorist organizations in Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen, and Pakistan is almost 3 times the number of Muslim Americans who have been killed in action fighting for the U.S.
And so what are you saying about Muslim Americans who are in the armed services, or Muslim Americans who are in this country?
I'm saying you can't thrust this Khan family out there from something that happened long before we've had this explosion of Muslim terrorism in the United States and in the military. You know, while the media focuses on this nebulous small number of Muslim lone wolf terrorists, the real breakpoint is a much larger subset of Muslims compliant to Islam's laws of Sharia. Polls have put the numbers of American Muslims who believe they should have a choice between U.S. law and Sharia over the 50% mark.
Well, do you support what Newt Gingrich said then, that we should, what he said after the Nice attack, that we should have essentially a religious, not religious test, but, well, I mean, it's essentially a religious test. He basically said, you know, if you're Sharia compliant, you're out of here, and if you're not, then you're not. I don't know how you implement that. I think there's constitutional problems, but you support that.
I support that. But here's the thing. Here's the thing you got to remember. I don't believe that the breakpoint is terrorism. I believe, I guess like Newt Gingrich, in fact, I tweeted out before Newt Gingrich did that the breakpoint is Sharia. If the Muslim is Sharia compliant, that is in direct conflict with the U.S. Constitution.
Yeah, but no one's going to admit that because then they know they'd be kicked out of the country.
So, well, let me finish. Mm-hmm. If the breakpoint is Sharia, and Islam is the only major religion that encourages lying, the taqiyya says you have to lie to the infidel. You lie to them if you have to. So if you look at a Muslim and say, "Hey, are you?" and they go, "No." Okay, you're in. Absolutely. Okay, you're out. I mean, if they lie, how do you vet something like that?
Well, then how do you implement the test that you want to implement?
Well, then the question is, why do we have Muslims in the country that how can you possibly vet somebody who lies?
Well, so are you suggesting that we deport all of the Muslims in this country?
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it, that's for sure. I am absolutely suggesting we figure out how do we here's what we should be doing. We should be monitoring every mosque. We should be monitoring all social media. We should be we've got 3 million Muslims in the United States. We've got 1,000 active FBI investigations going on right now. I mean, there is a problem. According to the February 2015 report in The Hill, FBI Director James Comey revealed his agency is investigating suspected supporters in every state across the United States. According to another July 2015 report in The Hill, the FBI told Senate lawmakers more than 200 Americans have tried to join the Islamic extremists in Iraq and Syria.
I think it's clear that there is a threat. There's no question.
Yeah.
But I mean,
well, let's invite more into the country.
Well, that's one issue. But what you're talking about is people that are Americans that are here, and whether or not we should deport all of them. Do you see any constitutional problems with the vetting, the kind that Newt Gingrich wanted to do, and apparently you do as well, much less deporting Americans who have done nothing wrong?
Well, if somebody supports Sharia, that is doing something wrong. It is.
That is not a criminal act. That's a thought crime. Do you want to go down the road of thought crimes, prosecuting thought crimes, deporting people from this country?
Let's look back 1,400 years and see how those thought crimes played out.
Well, okay, but you understand the implications of prosecuting and deporting. Wait a second. You're talking about prosecuting people, deporting them for thought crimes. Where does that end? You want the central government with that kind of power?
No, I really don't want the central government with that kind of power. And you know what? I don't know how in a free society. I don't know the answer to this. I struggle with it. I really do. I'm a Christian, and do you know why? Do you know why the refugees that are coming into this country are predominantly Muslim? It's because we have outsourced the vetting to the UN, and the UN is going into these refugee camps overseas, and there's no Christians in them. And you know why there's no Christians in them? Because they're persecuted, they're beat, they're killed if they go into those camps. So we now have a vetting process that the UN has pre-selected Muslims to come here.
Yeah,
okay?
I understand.
With nefarious means, you think?
Well, with my government using my money, outsourcing the vetting to the UN. I have a huge problem with that.
We're talking to Paul Neal, and he's running for Congress against Paul Ryan in Wisconsin's 1st District, right across the cheese curtain there in Kenosha. And Paul, I understand. Look, there's genocide, Christian genocide going on in Syria and Iraq.
But not in refugee camps.
Well,
I mean, not that I've.
Well, there's Christian genocide going on. Let's not qualify it. But I just have to go back to say the idea of deporting all Muslims. Or even contemplating, contemplating that.
Sharia compliant. I said if you're Sharia compliant, and my problem is, I don't know how you can suggest. You know what? If they are monitoring all the mosques, which they should be monitoring all the mosques very closely, social media very closely.
You want like 24-hour surveillance on all 3,000 some odd mosques in this country?
Yes, sir, I do. The ones that popped up as radical mosques, absolutely. Because Islam is not just a religion; it's a political system. It's got a different set of rules. Have you heard of the Hijra, where they immigrate to a country until they get a certain size. Certain number of people that they can start to change that country. The same thing's gone on in countries around the world. You watch it play out. This isn't conjecture. Read some of Ann Corcoran's work on this. We absolutely have got to look at this harder and differently, because this isn't the Amish coming to the country.
I understand. But
it's not. You understand. So you agree
Well,
with me that we have a problem.
Well, I agree that there is a threat. There's no question about it.
So a threat is a problem, right? I mean, you don't walk into the grocery store and think, hey, there's a threat here, and say it's not a problem.
No, I'm not talking about salmonella. I mean, I understand I'm talking about terrorist activity in Orlando and San Bernardino and Fort Hood and elsewhere. I completely agree that there's a problem, and there's a problem with our immigration system generally. But I'm just I'm not going down the road that you and Newt Gingrich want to go down. But I mean, is this going to be kind of the central defining issue of your challenge to Paul Ryan?
No, of course not. No, this is the latest talking point, because the Hollywood produced DNC brought these people up. I mean, we need an immigration policy in this country that works for Americans first. Paul Ryan's been an open border guy for 2 decades. He funded sanctuary cities. He will push for amnesty. Paul Ryan thinks it's okay to have a wall around his house, but he doesn't for the security of his family, but he doesn't think it's okay to have a wall for the security for the rest of Americans. Paul Ryan will replace American workers in his jobs. That drives down Americans' wages, takes food off of American tables, and it's wrong. We need a policy, an immigration policy that works for Americans first. And I'm telling you guys, August 9th is Wisconsin's Independence Day. We have a historic opportunity unlike no other district in the country. One vote can save our nation from TPP. One vote can stop amnesty. One vote can stop globalism. We need to reclaim America for Americans from Paul Ryan's global interest special donors. That's what we need to do here in Wisconsin's 1st District. And you know what? That's what we're going to do in Wisconsin's 1st District.
All right.
We're taking this district back.
All right.
Go to electnealon.com and help out. I just crossed $1 million of fundraising 2 days ago. I think when I talked to you guys earlier, I told you I put $100,000 of my own money, hard-earned money. I started out in a factory at 18 years old. Nobody died and left me money. I put $100,000 in my own campaign fund, and I've got donations from every state in the union, averaging about $50. Paul Ryan put $0 in his own campaign, and he's got $10 million in his campaign war chest from places like Berkshire Hathaway and Pfizer and other huge companies that want Trans-Pacific Partnership, that want open borders, that want amnesty. They want to drive American wages down in general. That's wrong. So
all right.
I appreciate You guys have a fabulous Monday.
All right, Paul Nealon, candidate for Congress against Paul Ryan in Kenosha. Thanks so much for joining us, Paul. Appreciate it.
Take care.
And election's a week from tomorrow. Good luck. He joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
So he definitely wants to deport all Muslims or only the Muslims that believe in Sharia law? Because he kind of went back and forth on that. Because it sounded to me like all Muslims.
We'll take your calls.
312-642-5600 is our turnkey.pro answer line. And your forecast looks great. 78 degrees for a high today under mostly sunny skies. A chance of rain rolls through here on Tuesday and Wednesday. Both days will be hot and humid, highs in the upper 80s. Let's get those travel times. Anything nasty on the roadways? Here's Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Dan, we're not seeing anything really horrendous. Otherwise, some heightened travel times, again, toward the height of rush hour. Eden's inbound, we did have a delay. That's gone now. So just 19 in from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. Half hour, though, back out to Lake Hook. Kennedy inbound is 40, O'Hare to downtown, 50 out to O'Hare. And Eisenhower inbound, 53 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, 47 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson in, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. That's heavy, 58-minute trip, 47 out to 355. 55 traffic looks good both directions. Dan Ryan in is 26 from 95th to downtown. Outbound is fine. Bishop Ford in slows from Cottage Grove to the Ryan. Lakeshore Drive, southbound heavy from 18th to the Stevenson, 17 minutes from Jackson down to 67th. Tri-State southbound between Belvedere and Buckley, traffic is backed up there. I'm Al Verdi in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
There are so many families in the Chicagoland area that cannot afford regular dental care. We take for granted our regular routine cleanings, but for many children and families, it's an added expense that's not in the budget. Yet oral health care impacts self-esteem and the ability to work, which is why the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic is committed to improving the oral health in our communities. I'm Lauren Feldner, speaking to you on behalf of the caring dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, who have addressed this issue by providing free basic dental services at the Chicago Dental Society Foundation Clinic, which is located in DuPage County. At this clinic, we treat and educate patients and their families for free. We help them experience good oral health care. Our clinic is staffed with all volunteer dentists who depend on the generous support of donors to provide these services to Cook, Lake, and DuPage counties. Please help keep our free dental clinic open. Donations can be made at cdsfound.org. That's cdsfound.org. On behalf of the dentists of the Chicago Dental Society, thank you for your support.
Hi, I'm Tom Sadeka, President and CEO of Precision Payroll of America. We're the 33-year-old company whose first employee and first client are still working together. We have so many wonderful clients, but with me today is someone very special.
Hi, I'm Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA. We are a nonprofit student organization battling the bias and indoctrination in America's high schools and colleges every day. We are on over 1,000 campuses and continue to grow. Precision Payroll has been there since day one and has helped us immensely as we grew to a truly national organization. No one in the business is better than Precision Payroll. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Charlie. What you're doing is so important. To learn more and help, go to tpusa.com. That's tpusa.com.
And for your business, let Precision Payroll make a difference for you. Call Tom at 630-242-1507. That's 630-242-1507. Or online at precisionpayroll.com.
Thank you, Charlie.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, a lot of reaction from that Paul Nealon interview where he definitely supports the Newt Gingrich proposal to somehow come up with a system that can distinguish Sharia-compliant Muslims from non-Sharia-compliant Muslims and deport the ones who are Sharia-compliant, even though he also says that Muslims lie. And then when I asked the question whether all Muslims should be deported, including American citizens, he didn't say no.
No, he did not.
So it's something I think about. He said he wrestles with it. I'm trying to be fair. But his remarks on that topic were rather stark. I think that's an understatement to say. Jerry and Wilmette, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, I worry as a Catholic that if the analogy would be what if the Democrats were to monitor Catholic churches and schools for teaching things that they believe are against the I just think that you got a very, that would be the slope into which you would slip.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Jerry. I agree with that. Look, here's the problem. Number one, what's proposed is unconstitutional. Number two, it's unconscionable. The idea of prosecuting thought crimes, that is the slipperiest of all slippery slopes. The idea of preemptorily monitoring houses of worship, that is right next to that slipperiest of slippery slopes. This is not a road we want to go down, folks.
Well, what about certain mosques where they produce some radical jihadists?
Different story. The mosque in Orlando, where the Orlando nightclub killer was from, that had all kinds of danger signs, all kinds of red flags. Completely different story. But there has to be, a reasonable suspicion of illicit activity.
Well, instead of monitoring, how about having an informant convert to, the Muslim religion and just infiltrate it that way?
There has to
be. I'm sure they're already doing.
There has to be a reasonable basis to do that. George in Mokina. Hey, George.
Hello.
George.
Yeah. Hello. Good morning. I want to ask you two. Do you support Muslims when they come into this country? They have to swear an oath to defend the Constitution and live under Judeo-Christian laws. Do you support them living under Muslim laws, Sharia law, in this country?
No, we are all equal before the secular law of the land, George.
Then if they are supporting Muslim law, Sharia, they should be told they have to quit it or get out of the country because they're actually trying to get away from whatever their religious supports. They just want to come to this country and create as much chaos as they possibly can. But they should not. They shouldn't be able to support Muslim Sharia law, correct?
Okay, George, thanks for the call. We'll pick this up.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
The safety oath. Repeat after me. I will safely bring safety to my facility and keep it safe. I will safely keep my people safe. I will put safety first in everything I do, and I will safely do so with Grainger. When you think safety, think Grainger. Grainger's got over 100,000 safety products to help keep our facilities safe and our people safer. When it comes to safety, Grainger's got your back. Call clickgrainger.com/safety or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Do you hear that racket? That is the sound of 7 scientists at Exxon and Mobil, thinking, working. Listen, they're discovering the precise combination of 7 key ingredients in new Synergy gasoline that helps you get better gas mileage. These science guys sure know how to party. Shh. Sorry. New Synergy gasoline from Exxon and Mobil. Energy lives here.
Fuel economy claims are compared with gasoline meeting minimum government standards. Results will vary. Visit Exxon.com or Mobil.com for details.
AM 560. The Answer.
And coming up next on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Simple question on the Trump Khan matter. How would you have responded to Mr. Khan's speech on Thursday night at the DNC at 7:37?
And speaking of Khan, Mrs. Khan has spoken. You'll hear from her. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Dave Stewart, who's in for Mike Scott.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. 69 degrees in Chicago, 732 on AM 560, The Answer. We're looking for a partly sunny day with a high of 84. Hillary Clinton's taking aim at Donald Trump for attacking the family of a fallen Muslim American soldier. Speaking to reporters yesterday in Ohio, she said Trump's comments about Captain Humayun Khan's mother were wrong.
A Gold Star mother who stood there on that stage with her husband honoring the sacrifice of their son. I don't know where the bounds are. I don't know where the bottom is.
Khan's parents spoke out against Trump last week at the Democratic National Convention, but his mother did not want to speak because she said it made her too upset. Starting today, people will be able to carry concealed handguns on college campuses in Texas. It doesn't apply to all schools. Private schools were allowed to opt out, and public universities are allowed to set up gun-free zones. The violent trend in Chicago continued through July. Police statistics for last month show 65 murders, 362 shootings in the city. The number of shootings in July slightly higher than June, but there were 7 fewer homicides. So far this year, 381 people have been killed in Chicago, and police say they've made more than 1,900 gun arrests and seized more than 5,000 guns. 2 men killed, at least 21 other people wounded in shootings across Chicago just between Saturday afternoon and early Sunday morning. One of 2 Cook County jail inmates behind a violent cell block takeover last week had a reputation for attacking correctional officers. Cook County authorities say one attack was just 2 months ago in which he seriously injured a Kankakee officer. 27-year-old Cordaro Stevenson has been locked up since September of 2014, and in the past year alone, twice he was accused of physically assaulting officers. In sports, the Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings yesterday. The White Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. Cubs are hosting the Marlins today. The news and service of Accountemps. Do you need accounting and finance professionals for long-term or recurring projects? Well, if you prefer the same professional to handle your project through its duration, Accountemps' salaried professional service may be the solution. Call today or visit accountemps.com. Accountemps, a Robert Half company. AM 560 News Time 7:34. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Joe Walsh here. You know how much I love our country, and you probably also know how much I love our country's greatest ally in the Middle East and around the world, the nation of Israel. That's why I want you to join me and Caroline Glick of the Jerusalem Post for a special event, America in Israel, a town hall. It's happening on August 4th at the Chevy Chase Country Club in Wheeling. The event is free, but reservations are required. Right now, go to 560theanswer.com and search for the keyword Israel to register today.
Remodel your kitchen with Galaxy. Buy one cabinet and get one free with free financing and design services. Call 773-783-8300.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure? Losing the family home? Well, you'd be not alone, so please listen to this. There are a lot of issues in a foreclosure, legal issues, factual issues. Dozens so far, and more coming to light every day. You see, people, we are in the aftermath of what will go down in history as the greatest financial crime in history, from which a lot of people profited immensely. And these people did not always do things entirely legally. That is a foregone conclusion. I'm Lou Bridges. I put together a law firm dedicated to foreclosure defense and to avoiding foreclosure by working with the banks, based on a thorough examination and analysis of all the potential issues and questions. And we have surrounded ourselves with people equally committed to this pursuit of justice.
Call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231. Or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense firm and discover the legal tools at your disposal.
At 7:36, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. We have a report of an accident on 80 eastbound, and traffic is jammed up between 80th Avenue and 183rd Street with an accident on left and right shoulders. According to state police, there are about half a dozen vehicles involved. Eden's inbound, just 20 minutes Lake Cook to the Kennedy Junction, 32 back out to Lake Cook. Kennedy into downtown from O'Hare, 42, 50 back out to the airport. Eisenhower into the post office from Thorndale, a full hour, 46 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson into Lakeshore Drive, 55 minutes, 48 on the outbound trip. And Dan Ryan is 27 in from downtown, no outbound delays. Traffic's a service of Firestone Complete Auto Care. Firestone Complete Auto Care is celebrating 90 years of keeping cars running newer, longer. Visit your local Firestone Complete Auto Care and get a $70 prepaid card by mail when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. See store or driveafirestone.com for details. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now your forecast. A service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Partly sunny, high 84 today. Partly cloudy and humid tonight, low 70. Mostly cloudy tomorrow, warm and humid. Some occasional rain or maybe a thunderstorm. Tomorrow's high 86. Right now it's 69 degrees at O'Hare. Next news, 8 o'clock. A continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the Business Insanity Radio Show with Barry Moltz, Sunday nights at 11. It's all about getting your business unstuck and moving forward.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. The number 312-642-5600. That's the turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA is the turnkey.pro text line. My question with respect to the Trump con flap what would you have said in response to the speech that Mr. Khan gave on Thursday night in memoriam of his son who died in heroic service to this country? Here's what Donald Trump said in response to what Mr. Khan offered, and it's why this thing blew up over the weekend.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know that. I saw him. He was, very emotional and probably looked like a nice guy to me. His wife, if you look at his wife, she was standing there. She had nothing to say. Maybe she wasn't allowed to have anything to say. You tell me, but plenty of people have written that. She was extremely quiet, and it looked like she had nothing to say. A lot of people have said that, and personally, I watched him. I wish him the best of luck.
I mean, taking a shot at the wife. I mean, she's a Gold Star family member, and he's questioning her subservience, it seems like. I mean, that's how he interpreted it. Why didn't he just come out and say that? Oh, she didn't speak because Muslim women don't have a voice. Well, they do have a voice.
Ghazala Khan responded with an op-ed in the Washington Post over the weekend. He knows nothing about true sacrifice was the headline, and she responded on CNN this morning.
Yeah, she did, and she's thankful to be an American.
So I'm thankful for everything that America has given me, everything that I had got from America, the most of it, the love and the respect. I'm so happy to be saying that I am a Muslim woman, and Muslim women have all the rights in the world. In eyes of God, we are equal to our husbands. We are equal, and we are number one in the household.
Yeah, got that? They rule the roost in the household. Oh, wait, did you just go to your Bill Clinton place?
Okay.
She just said that religion has not made her be quiet. And that's the point that she was trying to make on CNN after about 9 minutes into the conversation with her and her husband, that she finally got a chance to speak.
I can say that my religion or my family or my culture never stopped me saying whatever I want to say.
And she said, in the op-ed.
It's a chatterbox. I mean, gosh, I'm just kidding. Just trying to lighten the mood a little bit.
Let's lighten the mood.
I'm glad that we heard from her.
But she said at the time at the convention, she looked back and she saw a huge, screen picture of her son, and it was too emotional for her, and she couldn't speak.
And that's what Mr. Khan had said in the immediate reaction to Trump's offhanded comment there in his interview with Clinton Foundation donor Zero. He also, though, went on CNN and said a bit more with the phrase that dominated the discussion over the weekend.
I want his family to counsel him, teach him some empathy. He will be a better person if he could become, but he is a black soul. And this is totally unfit for the leadership of this beautiful country.
Khan does have a point there. I mean, he cannot empathize. He can't put himself in the Khan's position and think, gosh, what if my son, Donald Jr. or Eric or Barron, died serving this country?
So I think it's a political mistake to escalate the matter. I think Trump should have said essentially that, thank you for his service. I understand they're distraught. I understand they still mourn the loss of their son who served our country heroically. I don't know how I would react to what I would do if I lost Don Jr. or Eric. And let's just leave it there.
But he can't do that.
And separate that from politics.
He has no self-control.
Even though the Khans were on a political stage, I'm going to, in this instance, kind of rise above and separate them from politics, and let's get back to the political and policy discussion that frames the presidential race. It just isn't that complicated. And people have raised the issue of, well, what about Hillary and Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith? Sure. Yeah, legitimate issue. Chris Wallace raised it when he sat down with Hillary Clinton over the weekend. And here's Hillary Clinton's reaction.
My heart goes out to both of them. Losing a child under any circumstances, especially in this case, two State Department employees, extraordinary men, both of them, two CIA contractors, gave their lives protecting our country, our values. I understand the grief and the incredible sense of loss that can motivate that.
You should hear the wedding bells in the background.
Yeah, it's church bell.
Oh,
Well,
church
she wasn't in the church. She was with Chris Wallace.
I think that Bill and Hillary were renewing their vows over the weekend.
Oh, yeah,
A
right.
boy and a girl in a law library. So
But
Hillary,
that was a proper way to handle
so
that question.
Hillary Clinton lied to Patricia Smith.
She did.
And Hillary Clinton abrogated her duty as Secretary of State with respect to the men on the ground in Benghazi. But politically speaking, was the Trump response to go after Khan versus the Hillary response to try and extricate herself from that situation, politically, which is the better play? What would you have done? What would you have done if you were in Trump's position? How would you have responded to the Khan family? Remember, for all the people who are saying this isn't an issue, this is the left, this is, you know what? People are talking about it. It is an issue. It's an issue the left is going to make an issue. And here's the thing. You don't get to run from an issue you don't want to deal with, particularly one that you exacerbated, because you say, I'm not going to talk about it. Well, that's the other side just chases you. Did you learn anything from the Mitt Romney campaign? Oh, there's something you don't want to talk about? Well, that's the only thing we want to talk about. So if you think you can bury your head in the sand with the things that Donald Trump says and does and say, well, I don't think there should be political impact, so there is no political impact, that is just discarding reality. I hate to break it to you. So if the goal is for Trump supporters to have a Trump victory, does what he said over the weekend and does making this a bigger story than it would have been had he let it go after Thursday night, does that serve those interests?
No. People that are registered Republican, women that I know, cannot vote for Donald Trump because of this issue, because they told me he cannot. There's no self-control.
Were they voting for Donald Trump before?
Yes, they were. But they're not going to anymore because he can.
Anecdotal,
but self-control, and that's what you need to be president. You can't just push the hot button. You can't just press the nuke button. But also, too, Donald Trump, in his defense, Mr. Khan said that he didn't sacrifice. He doesn't know about sacrifice. And Donald Trump tells us what he has sacrificed in his life.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs. I think
those are sacrifices?
Oh, sure. I think they're sacrifices. I think when I can employ thousands and thousands of people, take care of their education, take care of so many things, even in military. I mean, I was very responsible, along with a group of people, for getting the Vietnam Memorial built.
Wait, is that an appropriate response? Is that really a sacrifice? Creating jobs for people and being a business mogul?
Well, I think it's creating value, right? In pursuit of his interests, he serves the interests of others. I mean, every business is a social service organization. So you could say that that's taking a risk. Is it a sacrifice? Charitable work, is that a sacrifice? I think it's actually an opportunity. 5
deferments for the Vietnam War.
That's not the way I would describe it. I don't know. What does that have to do with sacrifice?
Because he didn't sacrifice his possible life for this country. He avoided a war instead of going to a war.
Yeah. Well,
just fame. Those are just the facts.
It's an issue. It's an issue. I mean, although for those people that want to make that an issue of Trump, there's a lot of people on both sides of the aisle that you can make that an issue of, isn't there? Let's go, including the husband of the first female nominee of a major party for president. Oh, by the way.
Mm-hmm. He's sleeping.
Yeah. Let's go to Kathy in Norridge. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Oh, my God. I forgot what I was going to say. But going on the new issue that we're talking about, I'm sorry, you guys. Should Donald Trump have said that? Probably not. But when that woman was so quiet, honestly, I thought, she's kind of quiet. Why isn't she talking? But if you line up issues side by side, Hillary versus Trump, and add Bill into the mix, I think that they are equally rewarded with issues. And I don't think it's worth spending all this time talking on it, because we can be talking about her issues for 3 days, and we talk about his issues for 3 days. It was an opinion. He should have kept his mouth shut. In so many instances, he should keep his mouth shut. Donald Trump works better with a teleprompter because his one-liners always get him into trouble. But going back to what you talked about before, Sharia is not compatible with Christianity. That in our country is based on Christianity. So if someone is a true believer of of Sharia, do they belong here? My guess is not. And in my house, and I'm sure your house is too, if there is a dangerous situation in my house where I feel that it's going to harm someone, I remove it. That's just my house. We need someone who's going to take care of this country in the same way, because the war that we are going to be fighting is not uniform against uniform. It's technology, and it's a different way of infiltrating. And I just hope that whoever gets in, because neither one of them are stellar candidates, I just hope that they are directed to do what's best for America, because right now we're in a lot of trouble.
Thanks for the call, Kathy. Here's the thing about the whole Sharia matter. There are a lot of people in this country that have a lot of thoughts that are incompatible with a free society, with a representative republic. We call them Democrats. No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, members of the Communist Party,
right?
All kinds of rabble-rousers and anarchists. There's a difference between prosecuting someone for doing something and prosecuting someone for thinking something. And I think it is highly dangerous and unconstitutional to go down the road of prosecuting hate crimes. That is Orwellian. And you should reflect on that a little bit, in my humble opinion, that the implications, don't look at it narrowly, look at it with empowering the government to prosecute and deport, in some cases, people for thought crimes. And do you want to go down that road? There's a difference between political Islam and Islam, the religion. And I've said on this show before, that is really the important distinction. Islam, the religion, no problem. Political Islam, which is the imposition of Islamic theocracy, big problem. But that is an action. Having that thought kicking around in your head is not the same thing as acting upon it. Pete in McHenry.
Hi, guys. I love your show. Listen every morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak on this. Very briefly, a couple of points here. I'm a Trump supporter, and I'm disappointed in his political response to this because he picked the wrong moment to comment on how some, not all, some Muslims treat women less than fair. And that's a good point to make, but not about these people and at this moment. What I would have said, Dan, and it's a great question for people, what I would have said is, look, Captain Khan and his family are great Americans. He was a hero for this country. And then he could have turned it into an opportunity to talk about immigration policy and said, listen, the Khans would have been admitted to this country under my policy because I want good people who love America to come in, and all I'm trying to do is vet properly so we get the Khans coming in and keep the people out like the terrorists who killed the priest in France.
Yeah.
And that's what I would have said.
Thanks for the call, Pete. That's about what I would have said, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the issue is I want a system where we can distinguish the cons from people who want to do harm to this country. People want to come to this country because they love the idea of America. They want a better life for themselves. They're willing to serve our country. That's who we want in. We can't do that right now because, and don't believe me, believe Jim Comey, we can't vet people that are coming in. And it's not just refugees either, as we've seen in some of these terrorist attacks, a la San Bernardino. So to the argument, well, Khan would have been excluded. Right, he would have been excluded under my plan right now because we have a system that can't distinguish the cons from the bad guys. And I want to alter that system so we can. That's a very simple, straightforward policy discussion. It would have been the right pivot. Totally agree. Thanks for the call, Pete. Drago on Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, my answer to Mr. Khan, well, it's obvious that Trump was being set up, and it's obvious this speech was written by Hillary's people. But my answer to Mr. Khan would have been that a lot of Americans have given their lives for freedom of people of Europe and freedom of people of Muslim faith in Muslim countries by far more than there's the Muslim people that have given their lives for the freedom of Americans.
Okay.
And ideals of Americans.
All right. Thanks for the call, Drago. Ron in Bourbonnais.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'll try to be very careful with this answer, but Americans, like other people, have amnesia. And history is something you really need to know and you need to remember. Now, the history of the Islamic people is not one of coming in, migrating, and assimilating. Their history is one of coming in, and the more of them there are, the more trouble you have with them. They do not assimilate. And
some clearly do, because Captain Khan clearly did. Thanks for the call, Ron.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 78 degrees under mostly sunny skies. Chance for rain late Tuesday and Wednesday during the day. Both days will be hot and humid and sticky, a high near 90 degrees. Any high travel times? Let's go to Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Well, 80, we have a problem eastbound between 80th Avenue and 183rd Street. It's stop and go with an accident involving at least 6 different vehicles. They're off to the left and right shoulders. On the Edens inbound, just a minor delay from Elston to Montrose. Back out, it's a little heavier, 32 from Montrose up to Lake Cook. Kennedy in to downtown from O'Hare, 35, a full hour and 6 minutes out to O'Hare. Eisenhower into the post office from Thorndale, that's a full hour, 54 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson almost an hour into Lakeshore Drive, 45 back out to 355. And Dan Ryan in his 26 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays to mention there. 57 and Bishop Ford look good. Lakeshore Drive southbound slows from 18th to the Stevenson. 17 minutes from Jackson down to 67th. And Tri-State northbound backs up from 95th to 31st, again from Cermak to the Grand Avenue curve. I'm Al Verdi in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
Hey, we've got a major event announcement, Dan.
We do. It's that time of the year again. We have the lineup for Freedom Summit Chicago 2016. That's happening Saturday, October 29th.
And the lineup this year is bigger than ever. We're excited to announce that our keynote dinner speaker will be former Florida Congressman Lieutenant Colonel Alan West.
I love Alan West.
And our keynote lunch speaker will be Michelle Malkin. Also scheduled to appear, our friend Stephen Moore from the Heritage Foundation, and our brother in sound, Mike Gallagher. And, of course, we'll be there as well.
That's right. You can meet Amy. It's a full-day event, and there will be a full day of seminars on important public policy issues, grassroots activism, and organizing for victory in 2016. Seating is limited, so make sure to get your tickets today.
Just go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com. Tickets, get this, start at $29, and premium tickets include premium reserved seating and breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So don't miss out. Go to freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
Have you ever heard the phrase, money is the root of all evil? Philosopher Ayn Rand had the opposite view. She argued that money is the root of all good. She stood up for the value of money because, in her words, wealth is the product of man's intellect. Today's standard of living with our computers, cell phones, and life-saving medicines far outstrips the wildest dreams of the past. All this wealth had to be created by individuals, and money is what enables production. Money is your means of survival, a character in Ayn Rand's most famous novel, Atlas Shrugged, warns. The verdict you pronounce upon the source of your livelihood is the verdict you pronounce upon your life. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm your Ron Brook.
This has been a moment of objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to the Ron Brook Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
It's National Make a Will Month at LegalZoom.com, so it's time to take care of your will or trust. LegalZoom makes it easy. They're not a law firm, so there's no office visits or paying expensive hourly rates. Instead, you could save over $100 with LegalZoom's will or trust estate plan bundles. And if you don't know whether a will or trust is right for you, don't worry. You'll work with an independent attorney available in 48 states to get advice on what you need. Do the right thing this month at LegalZoom.com and save even more with promo code BRILLIANT. LegalZoom.com.
Geico presents Kathy, the Candid Real Estate Agent.
As you can see, this apartment has crown molding, and yes, that's a working fireplace. Can't you see yourself curling up with a good book? At least until a pipe bursts, and then you'll need to replace your brand new upholstered sofa. That thing will soak up water like a sponge.
It's hard to know all that comes with renting a home or apartment. That's why the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting covered for personal property loss and damage quick and easy. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free appointment so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Results may vary. Call 1-800-400-9591. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra $400 off your all-laser LASIK procedure. That's $200 off per eye. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free appointment, call 1-800-400-9591. 1-800-400-9591.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
It's a repudiation election in 2016, locally and nationally. I'll explain at 8:08.
And later, First Lady frontal and an NBA player.
Those photos were not Sharia compliant.
Yeah, and an NBA player has an Anthony Weiner moment and has to pay now. But first, let's go into the newsroom. Here's Dave Stewart, who's in for Mike Scott.
An update of local news after an update from Fox on AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago, it's 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. Ellicott City, Maryland is a muddy mess.
It looks like a set for a disaster movie.
After torrential rain Saturday night turned Main Street into rushing rivers, pictures show smashed cars, damaged buildings, and deep holes where sidewalks were.
You can't even fathom how bad it is in person relative to those pictures.
They're saying that something like 36 businesses were damaged or destroyed. It's got to be more than that because it's just the parts of the street are gone, the utilities have been destroyed, the water, sewer, electric, gas, it's all gone. And so it's going to take months, they say, to recover.
Bob Barnard with Fox 5 TV in Ellicott City. 2 people were killed. A woman was rescued by people forming a human chain to save her. A police officer has been shot in Carbondale, Illinois, in serious condition this morning. Police say it happened late last night. Cops heard gunfire, and as they approached someone speeding away, opened fire, then drove off and is still on the loose. You can add John McCain's name to the list of Republicans, like House Speaker Paul Ryan and Jeb Bush, joining Democrats being critical of Donald Trump and his latest controversy. Fox's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
Dave saying he's morally bound to speak out. Senator McCain released a statement saying Trump has disparaged a fallen soldier's parents. Trump suggested maybe Mrs. Khan was forced to stay silent while her husband spoke at the DNC. She explained to ABC.
If you are in the pain, you fight or you don't say anything.
Trump, who did call their son a hero, is not backing down on his criticism of the Khans, tweeting this morning that Mr. Khan is viciously attacking him all over the TV and that this story is not about Mr. Khan but about radical Islamic terrorism. Dave.
Rachel, the new wildfires damaged houses north of Fresno, California, and forced hundreds to evacuate, including this man trying to move into his new home.
Hopefully they protect it all, and we'll have a home to go to here soon.
This is the fire around Big Sur, which has torched 57 houses, has grown to 62 square miles. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
On AM 560 The Answer, I'm David Stewart. Look for a partly sunny day with a high of 84. Chicago's top cop says departmental policies may have been violated when a man was shot and killed by police on the city's south side. Superintendent Eddie Johnson spoke yesterday after stripping 3 officers of their police powers for their involvement in the shooting of Paul O'Neill.
Having been in shootings and car chases myself, I know how quickly you have to make those decisions. So if it's an honest mistake, then we'll get them training, coaching, mentoring, and get them back out there. If it's intentional misconduct, then they have to be held accountable for it.
Authorities say the 18-year-old shot Thursday night after crashing a stolen vehicle into two squad cars near 74th and Merrill. The Independent Police Review Authority will determine if any policies or laws were violated. A Carbondale police officer is in serious condition this morning after being shot during a high-speed chase late last night. It happened around 11:30 local time in Carbondale. The police say officers on patrol heard gunshots and chased a car that was speeding away from the area. The violent trend in Chicago continued through July. Police statistics for last month show 65 murders and 362 shootings in the city. The number of July shootings was slightly higher than in June, but there were 7 fewer homicides. So far this year, 381 people have been killed in Chicago. Mayor Emanuel joined Park District officials Sunday to break ground on a project that will separate the walking and bike paths along the southern lakefront, just as already been done on a stretch of the north side path. As a runner himself, he says it can be a hazard for runners to always hear bikers warning on your left as they drive by.
So wherever you live, north side, south side, enjoying a separate bike and running path so you can go the distance and do it at the speed you want to do it without always constantly being either told you're on the left or running into, if you're on a bike, a runner, is a critical investment.
The project will create separate trails initially between 31st and 40th Streets and then later extending down to 51st Street. In sports, it was the Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings, and the Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs host the Marlins today at Wrigley Field. The news, a service of Target. Back to school's right around the corner. Target's got all the essential supplies and gear your kids need, including Cat and Jack, Target's new line of kids' apparel and uniforms, so you can confidently send them to school and beyond. Expect more, pay less. Time now for the AM 560 Business Speed, sponsored by Turnkey.pro.
From the Fox Business Network, Tesla Motors is buying Solar City. The two first announced plans to merge back in June. Now they're unveiling details of the deal. Elon Musk, chief executive of Tesla and the largest shareholder of both companies, says the combination will help Tesla transition into an energy company using batteries to generate and store power. Uber Technologies is selling its China operation to its competitor in China, Didi Chuxing. The attorney for Prime Healthcare Services CEO Prem Reddy is denying allegations that the hospital company urged doctors to admit emergency room patients instead of holding them for observation because Medicare pays more for admissions. Reddy is facing a lawsuit from the Justice Department. Stocks closed mixed on Friday. Dow was down 24, NASDAQ added 7, and the S&P gained 3. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Ginny Cosola.
AM 560 news time at 8:05. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Marxists, socialists, and communists forget the government doesn't have any money.
The Dave Ramsey Show.
Except money it took from someone who is producing money. Government creates no money. The only way the government has money is if it took it from one of us. And so the only way that it would have money to give these people is if it took more from the other people. Thus, Marxism, communism.
Dave Ramsey, weeknights starting at 7. Presented by Wintrust Community Bank on AM 560. The Answer.
Here's an idea. Instead of waiting for your boss to give you a raise, give yourself one by refinancing your mortgage with Quicken Loans. You could add hundreds of dollars each month to your bottom line, like a boss. Call 800-QUICKEN today or visit us online at QuickenLoans.com. A Quicken Loans refinance gives you the financial power to enhance your life and pursue your passion. Our passion is client service. Here's the proof. For 6 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction. And for the second year in a row, they've also ranked us highest in mortgage servicing. Call 800-QUICKEN and buy in. Again, that number is 800-QUICKEN. Quicken Loans. Home buy, refi, power. Visit jdpower.com for award information. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
At 8:07, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. On 80 eastbound, traffic is jammed up a bit between 80th Avenue and 183rd Street. State police reported an accident with about 6 cars involved, and the accident is on both shoulders. Meantime, Eden's inbound, really no delays to Montrose from Lake Cook. Back out, though, it's a 32-minute trip. Kennedy inbound, O'Hare to downtown, 36, 58 back out to the airport. Eisenhower inbound, that's an hour 2 to the post office, and an hour 1 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson inbound, 55 minutes from 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound side, 49-minute ride. 55 traffic is moving well. Dan Ryan inbound, 23 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays. And 57 looks good. Bishop Ford wide open. Lakeshore Drive slows a bit between 18th and the Stevenson. 17 from Jackson down to 67th. Tri-State northbound heavy from 95th to about 31st. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next. Now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. And here's meteorologist Ashley Benoit.
We'll see partly sunny skies throughout the day today with a high of 84, partly cloudy tonight and humid with a low of 70. And for tomorrow, mostly cloudy skies throughout the day, warm and humid with occasional rain and a thunderstorm throughout the day and a high of 86. I'm Ashley Benoit on AM 560, The Answer.
75 degrees at Chicago's Lakefront, 75 at Midway, 74 at O'Hare. Next update of news at 8:30. Look for continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues now on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs.
He will be a better person if he could become, but he is a black soul.
I reject that, and I'm disappointed that he would say that. Donald Trump complimented him.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So we've been talking about Trump and Khan all morning. Also, some Hillary. Hillary sat down with Chris Wallace for the Fox News Sunday. Gave a wide-ranging interview that covered reaction to Patricia Smith, the mother of Sean Smith, speaking at the RNC. Also, Hillary's accusations about Trump's cozy relationship with the Russians. And, oh, by the way, turns out that Hillary and the Clinton Foundation and the tech companies that support the Clinton Foundation and the Russian plutocrats that support the tech companies that also support the foundation. That was detailed nicely in a Wall Street Journal piece over the weekend by Peter Schweitzer, the author of Clinton Cash. So a lot going on the campaign trail. And I just want to posit this before we get back to your calls and the con matter, Amy.
Yes.
And here's how I assess this election. Okay. And boy, what a time to do it after this weekend of Donald Trump going off the rails, in my estimation.
Yeah. No, not being able to control himself. He has no boundaries. But go on. Yes. What's your assessment of this craziness?
This is 2016 is a repudiation election, not a validation election. And the question, and this is, I think, locally and nationally. So in Illinois as well as nationally. So nationally, the question is not whether or not Trump has made coarse, thoughtless comments or engaged in dubious business practices. The question is your priority ranking of what you want to repudiate. In other words, Trump's career and the last year that has exploited some of those things I've just described, compare that to the last 25 years of the Hillbilly House of Cards and the last 8 years of the Chicago way being scaled nationally. Hillary wants to be a third term, except further left. She's making a big gamble left, as Russ Dothat wrote about in the New York Times, and as she presented at the convention. By the way, Maureen Dowd had an excellent piece, too, about President Obama. Thank you, Obama, talking about his support of Hillary, and that it turned out that President Obama was not a clean break from the Clintons. He turned out to be an enabler of the Clintons. And he's trying to enable the Clintons for the presidency of the United States once again. Excellent piece in terms of analyzing just the very pedestrian politician that President Obama actually is. So which do you put a priority ranking on in terms of repudiating? 25 years of Hillbilly House of Cards and 8 years of the Chicago Way with another 4 in the offing? Or the thoughtless and coarse comments, the questionable business practices and personal conduct of Donald Trump? Which has had a more negative impact on your life? I think that's the question. And locally, whatever you think of Governor Rauner, which has had a more negative impact on your life? The last 17 months of a Rauner administration and maybe an email he sent to Rahm Emanuel about Chicago teachers 5 years ago? Or 100 years of Chicago rule by Rahm and his ilk? And 30 years of lordship by Mike Madigan in Springfield, which has had a more negative impact on your quality of life. So which do you want to prioritize in terms of repudiating bad actors and bad policies? That, to me, is the question. So it's not necessarily this kind of high-minded, Morning in America or Morning Illinois type of question where we're aspiring to something beyond our reach, kind of a grand appeal. It is, what do you want to repudiate that has been going on for a long, long time, both locally and nationally?
Locally, I want to stop the Democratic machine. I would love term limits to get somebody such as Mike Madigan out of there, John Cullerton out of there. I mean, it's so sick. We don't even have Republican candidates running against John Cullerton, at least in my district. Nothing. Yeah, no. And on a national level, I'm torn. I still, part of me, I can't vote for Donald Trump, but yet I have to because I can't vote for Hillary Clinton. And this is the conundrum that a lot of people are in. Even Republican women, registered Republican women that I spoke with on Saturday, cannot vote for Donald Trump on this issue of how he attacked the Gold Star family and brought the woman into it. It was bad enough he brought, talked about Khan and, said, well, he accused me of not making any sacrifices, and I have sacrificed, yada, yada. But then he brought in the mom, saying, ripping on her, as if ripping on the dad wasn't bad enough, but ripping on the mother, saying, in essence, that she was being subservient and not speaking because that's the Muslim way, to not hear for the woman's voice. And we're hearing from her voice. We're not hearing from her voice. We're hearing her voice and her comments about how Donald Trump has cast their family in a negative light, and now their lives have been changed forever.
I'm really very happy for the things that I got from America and from all over the world. My respect, my love has gone a lot that I was expecting, but always, wherever I go, I don't know, people hug me, people love me, not right now, but all these 12 years, I had America's respect. That's why I thought I should go with my husband, stand there and tell them how Muslim feels in this country.
And she said she didn't speak because it was so overwhelming to see her son's picture on all the TV screens and then in the screen behind her that was, the size of a wall.
Well, take this opinion into consideration. Let's broaden the discussion. Okay. Professor Wesley Grudem, he is a noted evangelical theologian. He wrote a piece for townhall.com over the weekend, why voting for Donald Trump is a morally good choice.
Okay.
That's interesting, coming particularly from somebody that is, principled evangelical Christian. Professor Grudem writes, he is egotistical, bombastic, and brash. He often lacks nuance in his statements. Sometimes he blurts out mistaken ideas, such as bombing the families of terrorists, that he later must abandon. He insults people. He can be vindictive when people attack him. This is a long predicate to get to the money shot, but this is all necessary. He has been slow to disown and rebuke the wrongful words and actions of some angry fringe supporters. He's been married 3 times and claims to have been unfaithful in his marriages. These are certainly flaws, but I don't think they're disqualifying flaws in this election.
Oh, okay, in this election.
Yeah, emphasis not by Grudem, but I assume that prepositional phrase at the end, it was very important to him in this election. That's a lot there to kind of walk past. But again, it goes to my argument that this is a repudiation election. And Hugh Hewitt had a piece in the Washington Examiner over the weekend, too. Just, why never Trump makes no sense. and obviously starting with the Supreme Court appointments. And we've talked about that before, but repeating it doesn't make it any less true. That should be repeated because it should be front and center in people's minds in terms of what they're thinking about when they're talking about when they're contemplating the implications of what they do in November. There is more at stake than being offended by Trump's poor political judgment, as he exhibited over the weekend, and some of his thoughtless, coarse rhetoric. Let's go to Lucy on the South Side.
Good morning. Hi. My heart's and prayers to the couple who lost their son. But, Amy, I have a question for you. You just said that your friends and yourself have a hard time and you're disgusted by Trump with this couple. How about Hillary Clinton, as of even up to yesterday, denying about the mother who lost her son in Benghazi and all that matter? Does that disgust you as well?
Yeah, it does. It's not denying. She just lied to the mother and said that he was killed because of this video, which we all know that's not the truth.
And then she lied about lying to the mother. But, I mean, here's the thing that's so frustrating about this, Lucy, is we would be focusing on what Hillary said about Patricia Smith yesterday, again, in her interview with Chris Wallace. We'd be focusing more on Hillary's relationship with the Kremlin during her time as Secretary of State. But Donald Trump interrupted all of that by picking this fight. By deciding to engage in the fight that was launched in his direction, and now we're having a discussion about who is more disrespectful to the families of the fallen, Hillary or Donald.
I agree with you, Dan, 100%. But there's the thing: Donald Trump is not a politician, and after watching Hillary's America over the weekend, I could see that she's had many decades to practice her methods. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks for the call, Lucy.
Thanks, and you know what? We need to go see that movie. Hillary's America. I mean, separately, but we need to go see it.
Yeah, you go with Peyton and Eli, and I'll go.
And you go by yourself.
I'll go alone late at night like I normally do to the movies. Greg in LaGrange.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, Greg.
Hey, Dan. I got to ask you, as someone that does this for a living like Manafort, what do you say to a candidate like this? Obviously, you can't be happy that he's deflecting everything off of Clinton now onto himself. What do you do as a professional advisor, as you are? What do you tell the candidate?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Greg. That's a great question because I've been in this situation before.
Oh, yeah, when you have to deal with
candidates
who are
intractable and
they don't listen.
No, I mean, you're not going to
stubborn.
You're not going to turn, a 50 or 60-year-old, 70-year-old man or woman into somebody they're not, but you can accentuate their positives and try and help minimize some of their flaws. I'll tell you the closest example I have to this, somebody that kind of is
going to say names
in the center lane,
yeah,
and then just veers off into the wilderness, one tangent after the other, and it's just you want to pull your hair out and you want to strangle the life out of that candidate.
That's a little aggressive, but okay.
So rhetorically, of course.
Exactly.
Rhetorically.
Remember, we have a
strangling.
hearsay law here in
Yeah,
Illinois.
right. So my closest,
so what year did that happen?
My closest example to this was after Jack Ryan, whose campaign I was a part of in 2004 Senate race against Barack Obama. After he left, and Alan Keyes was the nominee.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I stayed on to be part of the Alan Keyes campaign, and it was, it was back in the day when you couldn't survive a series of unbelievably outrageous statements and what then used to be called gaffes, which with Trump are called features. I don't know when that transition happened, but it happened. But it is infuriating. It's frustrating. It's depressing because, number one, people who are your supporters are embarrassed and they don't want to participate,
Yeah.
so it hurts the campaign. Number two, it makes the candidate it presents the candidate as kind of the blithe egoist that the candidate is, unconcerned with the with the lives and the impressions of others. And campaigns are bigger than any individual candidate. I don't care whether you're talking about a village board race or the president of the United States. Everybody who participates in the campaign needs to be considered in terms of how you behave because you're a reflection
of that candidate.
Yeah. And so I have been in that situation. It's a terribly difficult situation. It's not a fun situation.
Now,
That's why I decided to get a phony baloney job on radio and stop doing political consulting.
Were you appalled by Alan Keyes when he moved into his apartment in Calumet City and brought a fake plant in a
suitcase? I wasn't appalled by that. He had to move into the state and live somewhere.
Right, but
I was appalled by some of the things he subsequently had to say, and also too because he was dishonest with us. Alan Keyes is an unbelievable intellect, one of the most well-read, interesting thinkers I've ever met. But because he thinks he's a prophet rather than a mere mortal, all of that goes by the board. So to me, it's wasted talent. And he also suggested when he came in, for those of you who want a quick little history lesson, I know what I know, and I know what I don't know. And I don't know Illinois, so I'm going to listen. And I'm going to run this campaign in a politically savvy way, make sure this campaign is run in a politically savvy way so we maximize our opportunities here, even though we knew this was a impossible incline with 80 days to go before the election after Jack Ryan's withdrawal. And he didn't do that. So he didn't keep his word to the campaign staff and supporters, and that's a problem too. And I wonder if that's going on internally in the Trump campaign. All right, we'll come back and take more of your calls, and I'll wax nostalgic about all of my failed campaigns.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up, what was your favorite Dan Proft failed campaign? Just kidding. Your phone calls.
Many to choose from.
Top 5 then. You're going to love this forecast. Pretty nice for a summer day. Average high this time of year is 84 degrees. We're going to have 78 degrees for a high under mostly sunny skies. Then tomorrow, some clouds, a chance of rain, a high near 90 degrees. Let's get those travel times. Here's Al Verde, who's in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Dan, 80 eastbound. We're still working this accident around 183rd Street. About half a dozen different vehicles on the left and right shoulders, and traffic is backed up from 80th Avenue. In the meantime, Eden's inbound is just fine. Outbound to Lake Cook, it's about half hour. Slows from Montrose up to Winnetka Road. And on the Kennedy inbound, 42 to downtown, 58 back out to O'Hare. Eisenhower into the post office, 52, a full hour back out to Thorndale. Stevenson is 48 into Lakeshore Drive and 46 back out to 355. Dan Ryan inbound, 23 from 95th to downtown, no outbound delays. Lakeshore Drive southbound is heavy from 18th to the Stevenson, and Route 390 tollway, that's in good shape. Tri-State northbound slows from the Stevenson to 31st, again from Roosevelt to Grand, and the westbound 290 exit ramp is full. I'm Al Verdi in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
We urgently need to know your opinion. Should Crooked Hillary be held accountable for her reckless handling of classified intel and lying to Congress and the American people? Please text Crook to 313131 and give us your opinion. Please text Crook to 313131 if you believe Hillary was put above the law and should have faced criminal charges and even jail time. Is Hillary above the law? We need your opinion now. Again, text Crook to 313131 right now. Paid for by Great America PAC, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee, crookedhillary.com.
Mike Rowe here for 1 hour. Today, Chuck is jogging in place to make a point about energy efficiency.
I thought I was training for a marathon.
He's been at it now for...
3 minutes.
And already he's wearing out.
I'm not.
Your heating and air conditioning systems are a lot like Chuck.
Warm yet somehow cool.
Wheezing, wasting energy, and probably headed for replacement.
You're talking about the air systems, right?
Sure, pal. Sure. Call 1 hour before it's too late.
Can you do the disclaimer for me?
Each independent franchise is licensed in its respective state or county.
Thanks.
I have actually been on Balance of Nature for a year now. I have MS, and I recently had an MRI. This is the first year that I've had a stable MRI, so I'm thrilled. When I have an MRI with MS, usually there are glowing spots that come through, which is damage on the nerves in my brain and my spinal cord, and when they're glowing, it means they're active. And then my last MRI, they pulled it up, and I honestly couldn't believe that it was my MRI. There was nothing glowing. And in fact, the dark spots were shrinking. They were healing. And the doctor actually said to me, I think we're in remission. I was so happy. I had no idea that that could be my reality.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800.
Well, so are you suggesting that we deport all of the Muslims in this country?
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it, that's for sure.
Or go online to balanceofnature.com.
Well, so are you suggesting that we deport?
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, all right, let's get to some of our friends in the listening audience who've been waiting patiently, like Margot in Burridge.
Hi. Well, you got to head into the Democrats. Patricia Smith was relevant because her son is dead, due in great part to Hillary's negligence and abdication of responsibility, exacerbated by her subsequent lying. But Amy pointed out the value of using Mr. and Mrs. Khan for the liberal migration stance. Trump claims to have been against the war, therefore the Khan's tragedy is not germane to the discussion. Their sacrifice, it's sad, but it's irrelevant to the discussion. However, the soccer moms who vote on their sheer emotion, in other words, Amy's friends, well, they've found their reason not to vote for Trump, empathy for Mrs. Khan. So they're going to endanger their own children, their own offspring, by letting more Muslims come in. And, because they feel sorry for that mother, which I feel sorry for her too. But the greater picture is that, all these Muslims are like a bowl of candy, and one of them's got ricin in it, but you don't know which one. Are you going to eat from the bowl of candy? No.
Thanks for the call, Margot. I think that's a good point. I think that's the argument that should have been made is, again, we've said this morning, but this was the discussion back and forth, and kind of all these shows talked around it. There was this Megyn Kelly-Huckabee exchange where both of them were wrong. The idea is we have a system that can't distinguish good guys from bad guys. That can't distinguish the Khan family from someone that wants to come here to do harm to the United States and to its citizens. I'm going to change that system so we can make those determinations so the Khans and those like them do come to this country and contribute to this country. It's actually fairly linear. I don't know why we couldn't just get to that right away. By the way, do you think that in terms of like your Glenview lady friends that are voting for Trump, voting against Trump now, do you think that the nude pictures of Melania will bring more kind of center-left men over to vote for Trump and it'll be a wash?
I think it'll definitely get the independents.
There you go. Got me. Pete and Homer Glenn.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Hey, Pete.
I think you guys are making more out of this than what it is. We all remember Sandra Fluck. Nobody ever attacked Sandra Fluck from the Romney campaign. And she was paraded out, and she was a story week in, week out for a period during the campaign. Whether or not he attacked the Khans or not, we would be talking about the Khans because it's what the media wants to talk about.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about it in the same way. And here's the thing, Pete. I'm glad you brought up Sandra Fluck because what happened? Sandra Fluck was used as a totem by the Democrats in 2012 to beat the snot out of Romney, and they never really effectively countered that. And so Trump has every right, and the speech necessitated a response. I just think the response was wrong because now exactly what you're saying, now they've got their day 2, 3, 4 story because of the tone deafness, in my estimation, of Trump's response. Thanks for the call, Pete.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You desperately need workers. You don't have time to find them. Let us handle it. We did it 425,000 times last year. This is Terry Greeno. My company is Express Employment Professionals. We know how to find the right people for your business. If you own or run a business in McHenry or Kane County, let us be your partner. Be it finance, accounting, administrative, manufacturing, engineering, we've got you covered. We help make this critical part of your business better so you can focus on running your business. It's simple. We put great companies and great people together. If you own or run a business in McHenry or Kane County, give us a try. Find out why we are the go-to company for great employees. Check us out at expresshires.com.
Contact the go-to company for great employees in McHenry or Kane County. Contact Express Employment Professionals, 815-788-8556. 815-788-8556.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Quick correction. I appreciate our listeners who listen so closely. Apparently, I accidentally said Wesley Grudem when I was referring to Professor Grudem and the piece he wrote supporting Donald Trump or making the case for Donald Trump. Wayne Grudem, not Wesley Grudem.
Okay.
So I apologize to you, to our entire team, to our listeners, to Professor Wayne. Don't call me Wesley Grudem.
You going to be okay?
No, it's good. I do appreciate the correction.
All right, coming up next, we will have Steve Cortez, a Trump surrogate, will be joining us. And later, Watch what you tweet, guys. But first, let's go into the newsroom and say good morning to Dave Stewart, who's been here all day for Mike Scott.
Thanks, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. It's 75 degrees in Chicago at 8:32 on AM 560. The Answer. Partly sunny and warm today. Look for a high of 84. Donald Trump responded to the fallen soldier's father, who said that Trump had never sacrificed anything or anyone.
I think I made a lot of sacrifices. I worked very, very hard. I've created thousands and thousands of jobs, tens of thousands of jobs.
Kazir Khan is a Muslim American whose son was a soldier killed in Iraq. He called Trump out in his speech during the Democratic National Convention, asking him if he'd even read the U.S. Constitution. Hillary Clinton's post-convention poll bump has her in front of Donald Trump. This morning's CBS News poll shows Clinton leading Trump 46% to 39% in a national survey. The man accused of planning a terrorist attack on the U.S. Capitol set to appear before a judge today. Christopher Lee Cornell expected to ask to change his plea today in Cincinnati. He had pleaded guilty to 4 charges, including the attempted murder of U.S. officials and employees. 2 men killed, at least 21 other people wounded in shootings across Chicago from Saturday afternoon to early Sunday morning. Most recent fatal shooting about 1 a.m. Sunday when a 27-year-old man was killed in the Garfield Park neighborhood. And a Chicago Sun-Times investigation has found that while 3 of every 4 property owners in Chicago have been hit with higher property taxes this year, 18 of the city's 50 aldermen avoided the hefty tax hikes. Those aldermen did that by convincing county assessor and local Democratic Party leader Joe Barrios or the Cook County Board of Review to lower the assessed value of their homes. 5 of those aldermen, including 4 who voted against the tax hike, now owe less than they did last year. In sports, Cubs over the Mariners 7-6 in 12 innings Sunday. The Sox lost to Minnesota 6-4. The Cubs are hosting the Marlins today. News and service of Firestone Complete Auto Care. Firestone Complete Auto Care celebrating 90 years of keeping cars running newer and longer. Visit your local Firestone Complete Auto Care and get a $70 prepaid card by mail when you buy 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. See the store or driveafirestone.com for details. Whatever you drive, drive a Firestone. AM 560 News Time, 8:34. We've got traffic in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Mike Gallagher can't believe what's happening to the Clinton campaign.
But you want to hear how goofy the Democrats are right now? They want to blame the Russians for the WikiLeaks stuff. Here's the Clinton campaign manager, Robbie Mook, on CNN.
The Russians are releasing these emails for the purpose of actually helping Donald Trump. I don't think it's coincidental that these emails were released on the eve of our convention here. We also saw
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Blue Moon Barbecue Sauce is back at Buffalo Wild Wings. Rich, tangy barbecue sauce combines with the citrus flavors of Blue Moon. Get here before it's gone. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies.
I've been taking 4 a day of the fruits and vegetables, and I have hypogammaglomerulia. Basically, you have antibodies in your body, IgA, IgM, and IgG. And somewhere along the line, my body stopped making them. So I don't have any resistance to infection. But I've been taking fruits and vegetables since we started, which I think is well over a year now. And the doctor can't believe that I've not had infections and flus. And he told me whatever I'm doing, keep doing. So that's what I'm doing.
Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
At 8:36, let's check the roads from the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center. Here's Al Verdi.
Thanks, David. On 80 eastbound, a little slowdown between Harlem and 183rd, but an earlier accident that was blocking of traffic has been cleared. Eden's inbound, no delays. Lake Cook to Montrose, just 19 minutes. Half hour, though, back out to Lake Cook. Kennedy in O'Hare to downtown, a 41-minute trip, 56 out to O'Hare. And Eisenhower into the post office is 53 minutes, 59 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson in somewhat heavy, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, only 40 back out. And 55 traffic, that's moving well. Dan Ryan inbound 23 from 95th to downtown. No outbound delays. 57 looks good. Same for Bishop Ford. Lakeshore Drive taps the brakes between 18th and the Stevenson. 17 minutes from Jackson down to 67th. Tri-State northbound heavy Roosevelt to Grand. And Adams eastbound between Higgins and after Barrington Road traffic is stop and go. Traffic answers when you need the most. I'm Al Verdi on AM 560, The Answer.
More of Chicago's Morning Answer next, but now the forecast, a service of aircomfort.com, providing the right climate for business since 1935. Today, partly sunny with a high of 84, cloudy and humid tonight, low 70. Mostly cloudy, warm, and humid tomorrow with occasional rain or a thunderstorm and a high tomorrow of 86. Right now, 74 at O'Hare. Next news, 9 o'clock. Get continuous coverage of the latest news, traffic, and weather at 560theanswer.com. Now, more of Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Sing it.
Good morning, Dan and Amy. So, taking a lot of heat from Trump supporters today, although a number of people have texted and tweeted and called in as well that found Trump's response to Mr. Khan a bit disturbing. And we had this guy, Paul Nean, who's running for Congress against Paul Ryan, Republican primary challenger.
Yeah, and their election's a week from tomorrow.
Right, trying to pull a Cantor-like upset. And we talked about Trump and Khan, and he's squarely in Trump's corner on that, is Paul Nean, which distinguishes him from Paul Ryan. But we got into a deeper discussion about Muslims in America, and we had this exchange, which was a bit distressing to me. Well, so are you suggesting that we deport all of the Muslims in this country?
I'm suggesting we have a discussion about it, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that was in addition to his support for the kind of Gingrich proposal. You'll remember in the wake of the Nice attack that we somehow determine among the Muslims in America who is an adherent to Sharia law and who is not, and the adherents to Sharia law be deported. Paul Nean is willing to contemplate taking it a large step further. And these, to me, are steps that we don't want to take. But I want to get reaction from the Trump campaign, and we're happy to be joined again by our friend Steve Cortez, who's a Trump campaign surrogate here in Chicago. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
You bet. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. So let's start with the whole Khan family flap and Trump's response to Mr. Khan. How should we understand that response?
Right. Well, look, I think the first and most important thing to realize for all of us, whether you're for Trump or against, don't care about politics, is that Captain Khan represents the best of America. He's an immigrant who loved his country, who gave his life for this country, and so we should all honor in every possible way both him and his family. As far as Mr. Trump goes, politically, quite frankly, from my opinion, I'm not speaking on behalf of the campaign, but from my personal stance, I think it's best for us to let this issue go. I think George Bush did a very good job about, 12 years ago of mostly ignoring Cindy Sheehan as she continually tried to become a political issue. I think he's better off, Mr. Trump, focusing on the economy, focusing on national security, and not so much on the Khan family. That being said, Mr. Khan did insert himself very directly into a very partisan political debate. He made some stark accusations against Mr. Trump. He said he had a dark soul, a dark heart. He said he didn't know the Constitution. So I do think, in fairness, Donald Trump is entitled to respond to those. But now that he's responded, in my opinion, it's time for us to move on.
But weren't people advising Trump not to comment, not to take the bait? I mean, how do you win when you critique or criticize a Gold Star family? What's the upshot in that?
No, understood, Amy, but I do think this. When someone goes on national television that accuses you of ignorance of the Constitution and goes on national television and says you have a dark heart.
Well, it says he hasn't made any sacrifices.
Well, and that as well. And listen, now, has Trump made sacrifices? I think this is an important point. He took a lot of heat for that. And by the way, ABC used some very selective editing. If you look at the full transcript of that interview with George Stephanopoulos, I don't think it reads nearly as badly as they tried to portray. He was not equating his sacrifice at all with Captain Khan. No sacrifice, unless you give your life, nothing can equate to what Captain Khan did for his buddies and did for America. And Donald Trump in no way tried to equate his sacrifice. His only point was, they said, have you sacrificed anything? And he said, well, of course I sacrificed. And by the way, he sacrificed. Trump is a man who has the resources. If he wanted to, he could live a life of pure leisure. Instead, he has inserted himself into this very contentious presidential race. He spent $50 million, which even for a man of his means is still a very significant investment. So has he sacrificed something? Yes, he certainly has. Again, it doesn't equate at all to Captain Khan's, and nor did Trump say it did. So that's an unfair comparison. The question was asked, have you sacrificed anything? And he said, yes, I have made sacrifices. They don't rise at all to the level of our military men and women, particularly those who have died. But Trump he has serious skin in the game when it comes to this presidential race. And I believe that after a lifetime of significant achievements in business, he wants the crowning achievement of his life to be not just saving a company or saving New York City, but saving America.
And so do you think now Trump needs to kind of restate, for clarity's sake, his position on immigration with respect to, frankly, Muslims from countries that have been compromised by terrorism, as some of his surrogates have tried to do over the weekend? Kind of the question about whether Captain Khan would have been admitted to this country under the Trump policy. It's kind of a red herring. The point that Trump is making, as I understand it, is, look, we can't tell the good guys from the bad guys, which is why I want to change the system so that we can have proper vetting, so that we can, and then the cons and people like them can come, and people who we identify as threats to our national security, as threats to American citizens, they can't.
Right. And Dan, I'm very glad, too, that he has pivoted away from talking about Muslims at all in terms of immigration to just talking about places of the world, territories of the world, which are unfortunately beset by jihadi terror. Whether they're Muslim countries or not, for that matter. By the way, I would advocate, and I'm not speaking again on behalf of the campaign, this is me personally, I think we need to be careful about immigrants coming from France, for example. And that's a sad thing, but that's a country which has a massive refugee population that has been totally unvetted. And so I think the important thing is regions of the world, if you're coming from Iraq, Syria, Afghanistan, probably Pakistan, where the cons came from, yes, there has to be additional scrutiny. We have to look at you much more carefully than we would look at an Episcopalian from Canada. And I think that's just being sensible. But it's not saying that there's a closed door or that we don't want Muslims. There are many, many very patriotic Muslim Americans. Captain Khan, again, represents the best of that. We don't believe in religious tests, but we do believe in security tests. And, for example, speaking of Pakistan, I believe that is where the wife, murderer from San Bernardino came from. And so we clearly failed at vetting her, an incredibly radicalized, dangerous person, and they're not always men, in that case, a woman.
Yeah. And she came in here through Chicago.
Yes, and so we need to be sensible on our national security. Political correctness isn't just dumb. It can be deadly. So we can't be politically correct. We're a nation of immigrants. I'm the son of an immigrant. So is Donald Trump, by the way. That's little known. He's married to an immigrant. We love immigration. We love the dynamism that it brings to our culture, to our economy. We also, though, security has to come first. And if you're coming from an area of the world which is troubled by violent jihadi terrorism, then we have to be extremely careful about whom we let in. And I would say temporarily let no one in until we have the proper systems in place to truly vet and check you out. Because, listen, it's not about Islam, and I don't believe it really ever was. It's about America. If you believe in American ideals and you want to come here to be part of the American experiment, we're not a race, we're not a religion, we're not really even a nation in that sort of ancient sense. We're an idea. And if you believe in the idea, then we want you here. Some people clearly don't believe in the idea and are coming here for nefarious aims, particularly the San Bernardino wife. And we need to be really careful to try our best to exclude those people.
Were you thinking about Slovak immigration when you saw those New York Post photos of Melania over the weekend?
Yeah, that Slovak women maybe get waved in very quickly.
Fast track those.
Wow. Hey, so Captain Khan's father had suggested that Donald Trump learn to empathize more, that his children should teach him empathy. Is there a side to Donald Trump that we just aren't seeing? Because he seems to have an emotional wall built up around him sometimes.
Right. No, and Amy, listen, that's a fair point, and I think that particularly with women voters, they seem to cite that just anecdotally when I talk to them, that's a problem for them. They say he's always pugnacious. It seems like he always wants to fight. And I do think America needs a fighter right now, both internally because of our incredibly slow growth and externally because of the threats to our security. So I think first and foremost, we do need a fighter, but we also need to see that fighter cares and loves, and clearly he does. So, yeah, I would concede that he needs to do a better job of portraying that. My hope is in these next 3 months, his children, you mentioned his children, that Mr. Khan mentioned his children. I think they will do a very good job of conveying that, particularly his daughter. So there is a softer side to Donald Trump. Maybe we haven't shown it as well as we should. So his pugnacious, his fighter side, I think is very evident, has resonated with the American people. But I think at the same time, sure, we need to show that he does, in fact, have a huge heart, and I believe he does. Maybe we haven't explained that or shown that as well as we should yet to the American people.
The other thing, it seems to me, he needs to push at present, because Russia is so much in the news with respect to these hacking matters, is the good research that Peter Schweitzer, who wrote Clinton Cash, has done. He had a piece over the weekend in the Wall Street Journal laying out in no uncertain terms the connections between Hillary Clinton, the Clinton Foundation, the State Department when she was the Secretary of State, and the Kremlin and the plutocrat, billionaire Russian investors, and kind of the interesting relationship, financial relationship that was developed under Hillary Clinton and President Obama, where we're bringing our biggest tech companies over to the city called Skolkovo in the outskirts of Moscow, which is like their Silicon Valley, or Putin aspires it to be their Silicon Valley. And we've got those tech companies investing with making big donations to the Clinton Foundation, and Russian plutocrats making big donations to the Clinton Foundation, and Russian venture capitalists providing resources to tech companies here to help kind of grow as seed capital to help grow entrepreneurial tech startups here. A kind of an unholy alliance that deserves some exploration, as Trump is being accused of being a Putin pawn.
Right. Now, Dan, I think that's a great point, and it's a great response. Trump has almost no relationship with Vladimir Putin, even though the left is trying to smear him as some sort of pawn of Russia or ally of Russia. But the Clintons are quite the opposite. And it's really appalling, the activities of the Clinton Foundation. It has been operated as a global slush fund, and largely for the personal aggrandizement of the Clinton family, of the Clinton cartel. The fact that they have become generationally rich personally since leaving the presidency, I think is appalling. They show no class. They show no respect for the office of the presidency. And in terms of the Clinton Foundation, we're not talking about just hundreds of millions, but into the billions of dollars. And to me, look, we're all Chicagoans here. We know about graft. We know about corruption. In American political history, there have been lots of local machines, whether it's the Daily Machine or Tammany Hall. We've had lots of local machines on the take. We've never had it on a national level. It's never happened before. We've never had the Secretary of State effectively for sale. And that is the sad reality of the Clintons. Via mostly the Clinton Foundation, via speaking fees, we've had our national government for sale. That's a disgrace. It disqualifies her completely from being the commander-in-chief, not to mention her reckless disregard for security protocols. She couldn't get a job at the State Department handling classified information right now, given her email pass. She could not get a job there, or at the Department of Defense or CIA, and yet she wants to be commander-in-chief. But I think you're right. I think Clinton Cash is a terrific documentary. It's ripe for the Trump campaign to delve into. I think also the D'Souza movie largely goes into these very same issues about the corruption of the Clinton cartel. If that's laid before the American people, I think they will, and they already don't believe her. They already distrust her, but I think then they'll see why in very clear terms. And these aren't hard deals to follow. It's we get the contract, the money flows to the Clinton Foundation, massive speaking fees to Bill Clinton, massive speaking fees to Hillary Clinton. Anybody can understand these details.
And it's worth noting that the Clinton Foundation was nowhere to be heard during the DNC. He is Steve Cortez, Trump campaign surrogate. Steve, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And he joined us on our turnkey Pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 78 degrees under Mostly sunny skies, a few high clouds by this afternoon. Then tomorrow, hot and humid. It returns a high near 90 degrees. Any high travel times? Here's Al Verde in for Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Dan, Eden's inbound, that's just fine. Just 20 from Lake Hook to the Kennedy Junction. It's half hour to get back out to Lake Hook. Kennedy inbound is 47. O'Hare to downtown, 48 back out to the airport.
I can see it.
And Eisenhower inbound, 53 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, 57 back out to Thorndale. Stevenson is 42 into Lakeshore Drive from 355. No outbound delays there anymore. 55 is good both directions. Dan Ryan into downtown from 95th, 23 minutes. Outbound working well. 57 and Bishop Ford look good. Lakeshore Drive southbound slows from 18th to the Stevenson, 17 minutes from Jackson down to 67th. Tri-State northbound taps the brakes from Plainfield to 31st. Heavier from Roosevelt up to Grand, and the westbound 290 exit ramp is filled up. And Reagan eastbound between York and the Tri-State, look for some backups there. I'm Al Verde in the Guardian Security Services Traffic Center.
I know many of our listeners own or manage growing companies, and your entire business depends on your phone. So if your phone service provider struggles to deliver your calls, it means lost revenue. And so can an outdated phone system. The solution is the company that AM560 uses, Innovative Networks. They excel at providing innovative solutions to reinforce your company's phone infrastructure and enhance call flow. AM560 appreciates how comprehensive, diligent, and cost-effective Innovative Networks was in providing solutions that scale as our business expands. Innovative Networks can even replace your outdated phone system at no cost and provide hands-on training to maximize your capabilities. You'll save money and be more focused on growing your business. AM560 is thrilled with Innovative Networks, so follow our lead and call Innovative Networks at 312-889-9090. They're A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau. That number again, 312-889-9090, or visit go4inet.com. Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest-growing, independently owned business bank. It's a bank where relationships still matter. Signature Bank knows your name and your story. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
If you think all banks are the same, it's time to think about Signature Bank Chicago. I'm Pete Olson, head of commercial banking at Signature Bank, where the people who own the bank operate the bank. Not in an abstract way, but in the same hands-on, personalized way that you run your business. We don't rely on a legion of business developers to find new relationships. We don't trust an outsourced phone bank to address your customer service needs, and we don't delegate decision-making to some anonymous credit committee that you'll never meet. We do everything we can to help you succeed, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed. Call us today to see the Signature Bank difference.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
A couple years ago, I had a severe accident which disabled my right hand and caused chronic pain and complete suffering. It took many years before really we figured out exactly what it was or how to treat it. My whole goal was I did not want to be on high levels of pain medicine. After some time, I went to see Dr. Kenneth Candido to try to figure out the source of the pain and a solution and how to solve it. He listens. I'm going to cry because it's so real. I've been through so much, and he wants to help his patients, and he's there for me whenever I need him.
This is Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. I have a simple message for you. If you or someone you love or someone you know has chronic pain, contact us. Treating chronic pain issues is what we do. We can make it better. Get an appointment and let's talk. MyPainChicago.com, MyPainChicago.com. All the info is available at MyPainChicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure? Losing the family home? Well, you'd be not alone, so please listen to this. There are a lot of issues in a foreclosure, legal issues, factual issues. Dozens so far, and more coming to light every day. You see, people, we are in the aftermath of what will go down in history as the greatest financial crime in history, from which a lot of people profited immensely. And these people did not always do things entirely legally. That is a foregone conclusion. I'm Lou Bridges. I put together a law firm dedicated to foreclosure defense and to avoiding foreclosure by working with the banks. based on a thorough examination and analysis of all the potential issues and questions. And we have surrounded ourselves with people equally committed to this pursuit of justice.
Call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231. Or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense firm and discover the legal tools at your disposal.
AM 560, The Answer.
You got a funny for us? You're going to make me laugh?
We didn't even get to the guy who parachuted 25,000 feet without a parachute, but we
Isn't
will
that
get...
just called jumping?
Sort of. We will get to The Simpsons, because The Simpsons have opined on the presidential race as only The Simpsons can.
Finally, my mind's made up, and so is yours, right?
Absolutely. I'm voting for Trump, right?
If that's your vote, I question whether I can ever be with you again.
And that's how I became a Democrat.
And that's how the Lakeview ladies control Lakeview.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, you've heard me talking about my good friends at Guardian Security Services for a few months now. And if you haven't called them yet, what are you waiting for? If you're unhappy with your door staff or on-site security officers at your gated community or residential high-rise, man, don't tolerate it. And certainly don't renew your contract for 2017. Instead, get a quote from Guardian Security Services. I put my name behind these guys because I love them and I really trust them. They only assign the most professional, highly trained door staff and security officers in all of Chicagoland. Schedule a free security assessment with my friends at Guardian Security Services. Get a contract quote for next year. Right now, call 708-385-3300. That's 708-385-3300. Tell them me, Joe Walsh, sent you. Or go online at GuardianSecurityInc.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. When purchasing a home, you could call your bank, surf the internet, or you can call me. Why me? Because in addition to my outstanding customer service, market knowledge, and low rates, I have a team of dedicated in-house underwriters, which gives me total control over the loan process. If you're purchasing a home, always compare closing costs, interest rates, and make sure your lender has in-house underwriting. If your lender doesn't underwrite their own loans, hang up and call me immediately. If you'd like to work with an experienced team of loan professionals who will always look out for your financial best interest, give me a call now at 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. I've helped thousands of AM560 listeners, but I can't help if you don't call 312-751-1333 or visit am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage and Equal Housing Lender, Illinois Residential Mortgage License T4358, RMLA, NMLS 19186.
Thanks for making us part of your morning. Thanks to David Stripling, Technical Director, and Cesar Perez, the Executive Producer.
Shake and bake.
We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Now let's go into the newsroom. Here's Dave Stewart.
Thank you, Amy. Among the stories we're watching today, a police shooting that left 3 officers without their badges may have violated department policies. We'll have the local stories after an update from Fox News on AM 560 The Answer. WIND Chicago, it's 9 o'clock.